Alright, how's it going, guys? This is me, Daniel, or Danny. Sorry if I sound overtired, it's because I am, and I am currently actually laying in my bed right now while I record this at 1:30 in the morning because I'm going to sleep, but it's on my mind, and I get really passionate about the stuff. I'm not going to make the whole recording all at once like this. It will be, there'll be different, I'm going to use two different microphones for one and for two. Yeah, I'll probably sound more lively later in the video, so keep that in mind. This is a topic that I think that needs my attention, because I don't understand what has happened to this man and his reputation on the internet. Oh my god. Or like, people just don't get it. People just don't fucking understand Goku. They really don't. And it's not hard or difficult or impossible to understand him. That's the thing. I generally am baffled at times when people just don't understand him or remember Dragon Ball the way how it really is. And I guess at the same time, though, I should give y'all some leg room and leeway, because it is a long-running show and it can be hard to remember facts. But if people can remember crucial things about One Piece after only watching or reading it once, I think you can remember a lot when it comes to the heart and soul of Dragon Ball, which is Goku. He absolutely is the heart and soul of the franchise or the story. There's no denying that. He is the heart and soul of Dragon Ball. He basically is Dragon Ball. It's his story. It's his legend. It's his legacy. I don't understand this mentality of hatred towards the character. And there's a lot I'm going to go into in this video, but I really want to come in and defend Goku and really lay out and talk about why this character deserved treated with dignity, respect, and honor. The main characters of Dragon Ball treat him with dignity, respect, and honor. You might have a favorite character that you like more than Goku. You might hate him. You may have your dumbass reasons for that, but if you love Dragon Ball and you hate this character, but you have another favorite character, just remember, this favorite character is the way they are because of him. And you cannot tell me different. He impacts everyone around him. Everyone. Whether it's big or small, every fucking character in that series, manga or anime, does not matter, are impacted by him. Well, with the exception of the villains, maybe. Like the really evil ones, like Frieza, Cell, and Buu. Even Piccolo. The very first notable one that I can think of maybe is Yamcha. I know, because that might sound weird at first, but he's kind of a bad dude at first, but also not really. He's just a guy getting by, but Goku inspired him to keep trying for martial arts, which he does for a while. And he also helps him change him as a person a little bit. I would argue mostly Bulma does that, but it's Goku's impact still mattered. It was small, barely noticeable, but it was there. And then there's the likes of Oolong, even, to a certain extent. And, of course, his first true best friend, Krillin. And I'm going to go by character here. Even Master Roshi. He was influenced by Goku's growth. Master Roshi and Goku both are, arguably stagnant characters, which means that, like, their personalities never really change. Goku does grow as a character. I know a lot of people believe he doesn't, but he does. And the people in his life impact him too. It's like a beautiful little, like, circle here of back and forth and everything, but yeah, there's a, like, back and forth, there's a balance, there's a connection with the influence of the characters, with the way they grow. Oh yeah, that's right, I remember what I was saying now. Goku does grow as a character. He does. And I mean, he isn't the same. This is for people who have experienced the whole story. If you've only watched Dragon Ball Z, or just clips from Z or clips from Super, or if you're someone who just watches Dragon Ball online, title drop, the amazing MMO game, sure, but if you're someone who just watches clips on TikTok or Facebook or some bullshit like that, you need to seriously educate yourself. Major time here. Major time. You don't know the first thing about Dragon Ball, and you don't. You don't. Take it from somebody who started this franchise, who got really into it through Dragon Ball Evolution. Yeah, I know. It's something that took me a long time to accept, but it's true. I don't like to talk about that, but it's true. I started off with that awful movie, and now look at me. Now I understand this series inside out. It's affected my psyche so deeply, and me as a person. I grew the fuck up because of Dragon Ball. I basically became a man because of this franchise, and that would not be the same without Goku. There's just no way. He is the heart and soul. He is the man that carries the story. Like, it's his legacy. It's his story. Yes, if you just have Vegeta, Krillin, and with the others, and Piccolo, it could still be a good time. But like, credit where credit's due. What is the one point in Dragon Ball Z, or in the entirety of Dragon Ball story, where the story kind of struggles, right? From Toriyama's original vision, from his original left to right story, when he kept going with it, whether he wanted to quit or not, doesn't matter. What is the one major arc that struggles the most with carrying its narrative, its themes, its focus? I think you know where I'm going with this. It is the Majin Buu saga. It struggles the most with being a crucial part of the story. From the beginning of the Pilaf saga, if it's kind of but it's still the beginning of the story, and it's not that bad, but it's not as taken seriously as the rest of it. From the very beginning of the story, all the way up until Gohan defeats Cell, to the ending of the Cell saga, and until Trunks goes back to the future and also defeats the androids in Cell, I would argue with you that Dragon Ball to that point in Z is a perfect story. It is a beautiful, well-told story. And Goku's gone. He dies. And yes, Laughingstock Media made a video about this fairly recently, that should have been the end. And I haven't finished the video yet, but he has a point. And now I absolutely need to talk about this with the Buu saga. Goku's dead during the majority of that arc. He barely has an impact on the story. Yes, he reveals Super Saiyan 3. Yes, he's back for a day's time, but it's mostly focused on the other characters. Dragon Ball lost its heart during that time. It was barely it was present, it was there, but it wasn't focused on as much. Dragon Ball is trying to stray away from its heart and go into something different. And it struggled. There's some food for thought for you. I'm not saying that those were bad intentions. I'm not saying that was wrong. I'm not saying that focusing to a new main protagonist or character was a bad idea. Far from it. No, that's fine. I'm just saying it didn't work, and it shows. What is the best part of the Buu saga? When Goku and Vegeta come in, from the point where, I feel like the Buu saga picks up its focus right when the Elder Kai gives Goku his life, and he comes back, and then Vegeta's involved, and everything from that point all the way up to the finale. It's like, mwah, chef's kiss, perfect. It is. You got Vegito, you got Buhan, you got Kid Buu showing up, causing destruction everywhere, and then you got the final fight in the series, which I think might be my favorite fight in the entirety of Dragon Ball. It might be. I don't know if I go that far. I think my favorite fight... No, it's not. No. I think my favorite fight is still Piccolo Jr. versus Goku at the tournament. I don't know. I have a lot of favorites. There's a lot of good ones. Come on. Goku versus Frieza. How could you not? That's the most notable one. That's some good, deep, well-written shit right there. That's perfect. Piccolo versus 17 is a great fight. I also really like Future Trunks, I guess, when he annihilates the androids, but that's not really a fight, though. And I like Gohan versus Cell, too. I do, but it's one-sided. Same thing with when Trunks... No, Goku versus Perfect Cell. That's a great one, too. Yeah. That one's a wonderful battle to watch. It's perfect. Well, no pun intended, but it is. But no, okay. Anyways, when Goku is dead and the story continues, it does feel like it's losing its focus. It feels like it's not really there's not really like a clear thematic narrative. There's not really like a reward that pays off as you pay attention to the story. It feels like things are just kind of going all over the place. It's kind of messy. Like Gohan has the potential to defeat this character, but he doesn't really earn that potential. He just kind of gets it from Goku. Earns it, and Gohan definitely earned it during the Cell Saga. Goku definitely earns it during the Namekian Saga. Yeah, I'm just saying, like. It feels like, when you think about it, and this is not to downplay or talk down on Gohan or anything. He's a wonderful character. Gohan's my favorite long-running character in the series. Truly, my favorite character of all time, though, is Vegito. He's my favorite character in Dragon Ball. But for characters who stuck around the longest, or like a long period of time, Gohan might be my favorite one, and Goku. They both are. Both of them are. And I love Vegeta very much. He's a wonderful character. He's like my third favorite, pretty much. And so is Krillin, and Piccolo, and Tien, and pretty much everybody. Bulma, I love Bulma and 18. I think they're fine. Videl's great. I like Master Roshi. I think when he's not being a pervert. I love him when he's like, an actual like well-written character. Tien's cool as hell. They're all great characters, right? I'm not the biggest Yamcha fan, but I'm kind of warming up to him now more so than I ever used to, because I kind of understand him more than I ever used to before. And then there's Chi-Chi. I get where she's coming from. She's a stressed out housewife. I understand that. Yeah, I would be, if I was in Chi-Chi's situation where I had two powerful people in my family and one of them like died, I think I'd be pretty stressed out too. Like, I think I get that, but because she's not very well educated, she comes off as a bitch pretty much, and I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't like the way she talks to Goku. I don't like the way how she downplays on him. And I definitely do not like the way how she's overbearing to Gohan. Like, her intentions are good, don't get me wrong, but like, she is poorly written. And Toriyama, he said in an interview, or he came, at least as far as we know, this, I think this was official. I think this was true. He said he's not the best at writing romances or female characters or something along those lines, but look at Bulma and Vegeta. They're perfectly well written, and they balance each other beautifully, in my opinion. They're well written together, and Videl and Gohan work too. Like, when Videl shows up, like, Dragon Ball becomes a bit of a love story between the two of them, and it works. It's subtle, but it works, right? It's very cute. It's very sweet. Like, Gohan and Videl are a sweet, beautiful couple, and Krillin 18 worked out beautifully too. I don't think that's an excuse. I just think Chi-Chi's just a terrible character. I really do think so. I'm sorry, but she is. She has potential to be better. If she educates herself a bit more, she talks kindlier to Goku, I think, but that's all she really needs to do. Yeah, she has her moments of showing love, but like, I don't know. She just kind of sucks. I'm sorry. Anyways, don't be a Chi-Chi when it comes to Goku, if that makes sense. Like, come on, But yeah, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place here a little bit with what I'm saying, and I apologize for that. But I think I hope you guys get my point, right? This video, I'm going to assume that you can get a clue, that you're educated enough to understand what I'm saying. But like, seeing people who are doing this on the internet, that can be hard to assume. Yikes. That's a big part of why I'm making this video. I deal with people all the time online who don't truly understand Dragon Ball, and who definitely don't truly understand Goku. I'm so tired of seeing people saying, "Oh, he's a terrible father," and with the sense of being thing, "Oh, he's stupid. He's a man-child. He's an idiot. He's a bad character. He's not well written." Blah blah blah. I'm just like, what? Or like, oh, Vegeta should be the main character, or something along that lines, or whatever. Or it's like Dragon Ball. No, I never heard anybody say this, but people are basically trying to say Dragon Ball will be better off with Goku, which is far from true. And I was gonna save this statement to the end of the video, but I'm gonna say it now and expand on it, and say it again later on, expand on it maybe. Because I'm kind of fired up, and I don't care how much you might be pissed off. I don't care how much you may disagree with me. This is 110% factual. If you jump down my throat about this, you aren't really thinking through what I'm saying at fucking all. There would be no manga and anime. You wouldn't have your favorite characters of all time if it wasn't for Goku. Goku impacts everything that has to do with anime and manga. He is the king of anime and manga. It doesn't matter how much you might hate this character, you have to accept that reality and truth. Your favorite characters exist because of him. If you love anime and manga, especially modern anime and manga, they exist because of him. Now, that statement does prioritize mostly towards shonen animes. Yes, it does. And mangas. Yes, it does. But there's also other genres too that same is true towards. Like, unfortunately, I can't remember every manga cut at the time I had that paid their tributes and respects to Kiriyama when he passed away. But, you know, Kishimoto and Ichiro Oda both love Goku very much. I mean, they base their main characters off of him pretty much. Like, Luffy wouldn't be Luffy without Goku. If you love One Piece, if you love Luffy, there's no way you don't love Goku. I cannot believe or understand or fathom that. There's absolutely no way. If you love that boy, I as much as I do, I love Luffy to death. He's like one of my favorite characters of all time next to Goku. Goku's a big part of why he is the way he is. A huge part of that. If you can understand Luffy, I think you can understand Goku too. I haven't even got into like why it's not hard to understand him, but we will definitely get to that, or why he's a good character, but we will definitely get to that. Like I said, this is just the beginning of the video. I have a lot to say here. I have no idea how long this is going to be. This might be up to 2 hours or some shit. I have no idea. But I am not even close to done yet here. I do apologize for that in advance, but if you're willing to stick around and listen, hey, that's awesome. Whether you love the character or you want to be educated, that's great. And I'm not the first person to come in here and talk positively about him, but I've seen a lot of videos about people talking good about him and defending him and stuff, and that's great, and trying to help educate others understand him, but I don't think anyone's quite put it as deeply as they could. And that's not their fault. You know, they're doing their best, and I might not even be able to do it justice. I don't know. But he's definitely one of the most important characters in all of fiction. Like, in terms of the likes of, like, you know, Batman or Sherlock Holmes or, oh god, who else? I'm trying to think. Like Zeus or something. Like, or not Zeus. No, Zeus is a bad example. I'm sorry. Hey, Sun Wukong. There you go. The character he's based off of. Yeah. He's one of the most important characters in all of fiction. A lot of you out there may not know who the hell that is. He is like the most iconic character in Chinese folklore history, pretty much. He is. He is the original Monkey King, and that's who Goku is, pretty much. But yeah, we're gonna get more into this in just a moment. All right, now before I say anything else, this is something I should have probably said in the beginning of the video. Bit of a disclaimer if you're still listening. I have never once said that Goku is a perfect character, a perfect person, a perfect man, a perfect dad. No, Jesus. No. But he is a good guy. He's a good guy, and that needs to get recognized. That's what this is really about. It's that simple. He's a good man, and that needs to be recognized by practically everyone, I feel like. It's like bad-mouthing the likes of, like, I don't know. Like, well, I guess anyone can badmouth any character, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But, like, Goku gets the most slander. And it's really unjustified. It really is. And, you know, yes, you could just watch the show, read the manga to get educated, but a lot of you out there might be just too lazy to fucking do that, or just it's too long. No, it's not. You just have a short attention span. You know, just by explaining the main story to you, which I'm going to elaborate in a bit in this video, on... I hope you'll understand and get it. I'm sure you will. And if you're someone out there who's been feeling the same way I have been about this for years, and I mean like for years, you can finally have a video that's like, yes, this guy, he gets it. He's hitting the nail on the head, sharing around with idiots on the internet, or just folks who need to be educated. I'm sorry, I need to chill out a bit with the insults, to help them understand that, like, why this character is beloved the way he is and why he should be. Like, I don't know if it's just like an American thing, which I'm sure it is, because I know Goku's loved in Mexico, at least he is. I just feel like like the world, or at least in the country, in America, have lost love, faith, and value in Goku over time, which is so weird to me. That this character's importance and impact and importance has like died down to the point where I think it even affected Sean Schimmel. I don't know, but like I remember seeing in the interview, I think it was when they were dubbing for Dragon Ball Z Kai. I think it was when they started off. Maybe it was just one of the games. He was talking about the importance of Goku's psyche, of his character, and how he's like, I think he feels incredibly humbled to be able to voice his character, and to basically understand him to a certain degree, or to a deep degree. He feels like Goku's definitely a deep character and all that jazz. And he really said a lot of awesome things about him, or respect to him. And then when doing Dragon Ball Superhero, the premiere was out, during the red carpet event, he said something along the lines of Goku being a bad father, and everybody knows it. And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? This is the same guy that felt offended by Team 4-Star, and now he's making the same jokes they're making. Like that's fucking whack. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I shit you not. This is what I have experienced. Like I'm not going to be able to provide all the sources I'm talking about, but like take my word for it. This is the same man that voices him officially here in America or in English-speaking countries. What? I thought he loved Goku. I could never see him saying shit like that, but there he is saying it. Damn. That one kind of hurt. It did. And I'm not here to say Sean Schimmel's a good guy or anything like that, but he's questionable. For sure he is. Like there's the whole Vic Mignogna situation, and some people claim that he's an asshole. Some people claim that he's not. And again, the whole Team 4-Star thing too. He got really passionate about that. He's very against them, which is kind of sad, to be honest. I kind of get where he's coming from, but I think his point got lost in translation, and that's what I'm gonna try to avoid to do with this video, because I don't want to come off as like a giant asshole to you. Like, listen to me. Look, I might already, and I understand that, and I'm sorry in advance. I will at least apologize for it. Like, I'm sorry for being a bit insulting earlier and saying things I shouldn't probably have said. However, at the same time, though, you need to understand that what I'm going to elaborate and talk about in this video is factual. Like, this is the actual fucking character and what he shows. If it's actions, there is no debate. There is no opinion. It's a fact. It's right there. It's in the series. It's in the canon. It's in the plot. Okay? I'm going to give examples, factual examples of the actual story to show you why Goku does deserve respect, honor, dignity, all that good jazz. If Vegeta can realize it, you can too. Okay? Okay. Moving on. Now, like I said, like, I don't get it. Like, with fucking people online. I really don't. And I'm sure there's gonna be one of you out there that is gonna talk to me and to a heart to heart here, like we're in the same boat kind of situation, and be like, listen, man, I get it, and get into it a little bit, and like leave a nice long comment saying all this cool stuff. I know I'm not alone on this, but at times it certainly does feel like it. And oh god, I need to give people credit. There is this great video out there that got really into understanding Goku, and I loved it. And we're gonna get into that later on. We are. One more little tip I want to add. I don't want there to be any confusion or complications or assumed complications to what I am verbalizing here. Just try to simplify what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with looking deep into what I'm saying, but don't overcomplicate it. For example, what do I mean by that? Okay. So earlier I said Goku is a good man and that needs to be recognized. And a lot of you out there might be like, what? That could mean a lot of things. When I say good man, I mean like he's like a good, righteous person. And you being a good, righteous person will affect how you treat everyone, including your own friends and family. So by proxy, that will elaborate this character into potentially being a good family man, and a good best friend, and a good rival, a good everything. He is. And we are going to elaborate that. This isn't just a statement I'm going to say and just not explain things. Don't worry, I will. This video is called Defending Goku. I'm not just gonna say things and not get into it. You know, man, I'm fucking pissed. I really am mad at like just everyone about this. Like, oh my god, I cannot believe how crazily somewhat moronic people are about this character. And it is sad. He's my hero. He is someone that I aspire to be like. He is someone that I look up to. He has changed me for the best. I have every right to come online and talk positively about this character. I've never, ever thought awful about him. I've never, ever cared towards the negative outlook on him. It's always baffled and confused me and threw me in for a loop. It came out of nowhere after Team 4-Star, you know, made Dragon Ball Z Bridge. And I'm not gonna fully blame them for this. I actually really like that series. I love Dragon Ball Z Bridge. I think it's a really great love letter to the franchise. You know, it is good. It is a fun series. I've watched every episode. I was looking forward to it. I was highly anticipating the finale of it when it's coming out. I just think people just have shitty opinions about Dragon Ball. I don't know what else to say about it. This might change a few people's opinions about it, and that's fine. I hope it does. But, you know, if you're familiar with Cyber Shell, I don't know if a lot of some out there might not be, but he's basically a Sonic YouTuber, but he's like the number one go-to one. He's like the best of the best, if he's one of them. He said that there will always be people with shitty Sonic opinions, and there's nothing he can do to change that. And he got really passionate about what he was talking about in that said video. That could be said about anything. There will always be people with shitty Dragon Ball opinions. That's 100% true. So no matter what I say in this video, it is not going to help everyone. But I still think it's worth it, and I still want to churn over every stone that I possibly can and not miss a damn fad. If I do, then I apologize. Okay, I think we can finally start into the beginning of the story with everything about Goku, his actions, his character, just the way he is, just what he says, what he learns, how he grows, everything. I think I have covered everything I wanted to ahead of time and how I personally feel about him, which I'll get, you know, of course I'm going to touch on that as I talk about things, but I think I can finally talk about Dragon Ball in its fullest from at least the original. I'm going to just fully focus on the original manga run and maybe even GT to a certain extent. And Daima. I don't know, Super is absolutely the worst portrayal of the character. I know there's people out there who say it's not that bad. Goku's not that ruined in Super. No, I'm sorry. He is. At times, yeah, okay, he is still himself, yes, but he's not the same character in Z that he is in Super. That is not true. I'm sorry, it's not. Whether you watch the Japanese version or the English version, there is a big character difference, a noticeable one. There is, and you cannot deny, especially in the English dub. It's very apparent in the English dub, I think. But yeah, he's definitely more hickish in Super than he was in the original Z, and he's supposed to be a hick. I get that, I do, but he had more common sense, I feel like, definitely in Z. He was a more well-rounded out, fleshed out, you know, thought out character. You know, and even okay, I never watched all of Dragon Ball in Japanese, but I have read the entirety of the manga, which is more true to that version of the character. It's the truest versions of these characters. And I'm gonna say right now, original manga Goku is still different than Super Goku. It's not the same character. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Like, from my own personal experience, recollection, memories, yeah, Goku's still better off written how he was back in Toriyama's prime when he was making the series versus how he portrayed him in Super. I think he's mostly finally written in the Super manga. I don't know for sure, but from what I've seen, he's not that bad. I thought he was fine in Daima too. I think the best version of Goku might be GT Goku. I don't know. He's mastered Goku. Like, he's a master now. He's the most wisest, most experienced character. That's him as best, I think. I don't know. Yeah, or him and GT and how he was during the Android/Cell saga. That was his best portrayal. When he spent all the time with Gohan. Like, I think that was his best portrayal for sure. I do. But, okay. Alright. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'm ready to start from the beginning of the story. So here we go with that. Buckle up, guys. It's time to defend everyone's favorite Saiyan monkey or everyone's favorite low-class Saiyan warrior that grew into a legend. At least, I hope he is. Alright, guys. Here we go. Now, if you're still around after that first 30 or so minutes of an introduction, here I am, more well-rested, more awake now. Hopefully my vocals or my voice or the words coming out of my mouth sound a bit less mumbly to you guys now. I sound more accurate in the video, I'm hoping. And no, this is not going to be recorded all at once, obviously. This video that's going to have editing will have time to be made. It's not going to be undone in one afternoon or one day. However, this is, I keep on, prolonging the inedible, basically. But I think it's kind of necessary. Really, I don't have to say anything else. Really, the only thing I have to say at this point is just go watch the show, go read the manga, and then you should have, freaking common sense and understand from there what I'm saying, or I have said previously, should be all you need to know. But we're going to go ahead and cover Dragon Ball. Like I said, no stone will be unturned. We're for sure going to make sure here that y'all understand why Goku is such a beloved, important character, and why, yeah, no, seriously, and I really do think it comes down to jealousy for some folks that act this way, but again, that's something we can talk about later on, and yeah, so here we go. So from the very beginning of the story of Dragon Ball, all the way back in 1984, the first manga panel you see here, you see Goku holding a giant, cleaver, or I'm not sure what it's called, a giant knife, a giant blade, walking on a log, talking to monkeys. This boy, who's only, I believe, 11, maybe he's 12 at this time, has grown up by himself in the woods. He lost his grandfather at a very young age, the only man that was raising him at the time. So some of you out there may not know that. In fact, a lot of you out there may not know Goku has a very rough background. I mean, it doesn't seem rough to him, but when you analyze it, it is rough. He has no parents. He's by himself. He's an orphan. And he comes across this woman who shoots him, Bulma, and it's the first girl he ever sees. And they basically become best friends from there. Yes, but like, you have to just keep this in mind, folks, okay? All right, you're going to attack this man. You're going to criticize him for his character. How many of... I'm going to say this at various points in this video. This is going to be the first time I say this. Put yourself in his shoes, alright? Put yourself through his perspective. If you are a Goku criticizer, hater, whatever the fuck, you need to put yourself in this character's perspective. You might say, no, I don't. Well, don't be arrogant. Don't be an asshole, right? Because this video is all about defending the man. I'm saying you do. If you're going to go that far into criticizing how he is as a person, I think it's incredibly fair and appropriate to tell you, or to ask of you, to at least put yourself in his shoe/perspective before you get into it. That's all I ask, and I think that is incredibly fair to do. So, imagine being this, yeah, you're a powerful alien kid, but you don't know that yet. You know you're strong, you're capable, you were taught martial arts, you know the basics. Being brought up by your grandfather, or a grandfather figure of some kind, and you don't have any parents, then one day, after one scary night that you don't remember, the next morning, he's dead. I mean, you killed him by accident, but you didn't know it at the time. Yeah, like, there you go. So, yeah, like, I don't think I really have to say anything else. If you are a good-hearted human being who's capable of understanding, like, logic and basic human sympathy, empathy, and just emotions, I think you get what I'm saying here. And yes, this is relevant to how Goku grows into a man, into a parent. This is all relevant to fatherhood. This is all relevant into a master, into a martial arts teacher. All of it is relevant. This entire video, this entire speech, it's all going to be relevant. All of it. So, yeah, he's an orphan from the very beginning. He meets Bulma, and then she sees the Force Dragon Ball, and Goku believes the Force Dragon Ball is his grandfather's soul, or at least it's his grandpa. He calls it Grandpa Gohan still, because it's all he has left of him. And he prays his hands, pries his hands together, and he talks to it like he's praying to his grandpa, talking to him. It's so fucking sad, man. And then Bulma and him go on a big adventure to find all 7 Dragon Balls. They meet Yamcha, Oolong, Master Roshi, Emperor Pilaf, and basically Master Roshi becomes, after this first arc in the storyline, after the characters see Goku transform into the Ozawa Great Ape, Master Roshi basically picks up the mantle of being Goku's father figure. Yes, he's his master, but he also watches out for him. And for the most part, besides being a perverted man, Master Roshi does a really good job looking after Goku and Krillin. He does a great job, in my opinion. You know, he takes care of them, he feeds them, he makes sure that they're, you know, that they're in tip-top shape. He trains them. Yeah, like, you know, obviously they all bond together. All three of them do. Master Roshi, Krillin, Goku. And then there's the introduction of Krillin. Yes, and I'm kind of jumping around here a bit, okay? And I do apologize about that. And then okay, well, I also mentioned that Goku influences everyone around him, including Master Roshi. Master Roshi, though, actually, no, because Master Roshi, that's not entirely true. But then I do have to rewind the clock a bit back in Goku's life during the Pilaf arc. I'm sorry, I completely almost forgot about this. When he first attains the Flying Nimbus. This is a very incredibly relevant plot point to the whole story and to Goku as a character, as a person, as whatever, just as who he is. The boy is pure of heart. In fact, so that is relevant, and you can see here that Goku is able to get on it, and the only people who can ride the Flying Nimbus are those with a pure heart. Are you really going to call someone with a pure heart a bad anything? That's baffling to me. That's shocking. That's weird. That's strange. It doesn't register in my brain. That isn't right. That doesn't make any common sense to me. He's pure-hearted. How could you call a pure-hearted person like an awful parent or an awful friend or an awful person? You know, it's like calling Hercules like from the Disney movie. Yes, like a bad guy. You know, it's like, why what? That's ass backwards. That's exactly what it's like to me. So, you could separate Goku's parenting and how he is as a person, but I'm not like that. It's like, who you are as a person is going to reflect who you are no matter what you do. So, no. And we're going to get into his parenting later on. Yeah, that is a big point in this video, obviously. I keep talking about the bad dad thing, because it does bother the shit out of me. And we are going to talk about it later on in this video. We are, because we're not there yet. There's no Gohan involved or Goten yet. Okay, they're not part of the picture yet. So, and now some of the other might, okay, so I am going to jump ahead the clock a little bit. So some of the other might be saying, well, maybe this is something Goku lost over time. He's not as pure as he may have been as a boy. Goku can't ride the.
If only I could fly to him right now. But if I try to fly, all those guys will show up again. Ooh, I know. Hey, Flying Nimbus! Whoa! Man, I'm surprised that still worked. Chala! Hey, chala! All right, Nimbus, let's jet!
Case in point. Now, there's a lot to say about that little scene that you just saw. A lot to say. First of all, let me elaborate what you, the hater, that I'm going to be talking to, might be thinking and feeling. Oh, you know, that was just a one-time thing. Maybe the writers forgot they had to be pure heart to write it. To ride on the Nimbus. You know, maybe there's a bias towards the Nimbus and Goku. Whatever kind of bullshit headcanon nonsense you might want to think of. The facts and the logic behind the Flying Nimbus is that if you are pure of heart, you are allowed to ride the Flying Nimbus. That was Master Roshi's cloud originally. Or is that the one that Korn gives him? Because I think the Roshi one gets destroyed by King Piccolo, like permanently. Or one of his minions. I think it does, yeah. So Korn gives him one. The talking cat master dude, yep. Who doesn't love Korn? He's such a great character. Okay, all the characters are great. Anyways. Okay. Back on topic here. Whatever bullshit excuse you might want to give yourself into explaining that, it doesn't matter. Because the facts is that you are pure-hearted, you can ride it. So Goku's a pure-hearted character still up to this point in the story. Does that mean that he's a good father, though? Well, this is Dragon Ball Super anime version, and cartoon version of Goku we're talking about, animated version. It's questionable. He's kind of a dick in Super, I'm not gonna lie, and his mentality has definitely been damaged a bit compared to how he was in Z. Absolutely. So that's not really entirely a fair. I don't know. It's difficult to use his example when we're using a version of the character that isn't really him. So damn it, that does kind of suck. I can't really use it with that in mind. And this is something else I want to point out, which I'm going to say this in various Dragon Ball videos. The canon doesn't matter. So if you're going to argue canon with me about Dragon Ball, I also want you to think about like what does and doesn't matter, what counts and doesn't count when it comes to other franchises like Star Wars, Marvel, DC, you know, freaking whatever it is. You know, yeah. If you're going to base it off, okay, so what I mean by that, for a good example of this, probably the most prominent, iconic example of this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Are they canon? Right? Is it fair to write them off as non-canon, like they don't matter to anything? No, because I don't think that is fair. I don't think that's okay to do, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe does a really smart, beautiful thing. They incorporate the other previous Marvel films into being connected into these movies now as a multiverse, you know, with multiverse theory, with basically being shown and explored in these films. So everything Marvel is now connected, right? Why can't the same be true about Dragon Ball? Why can't you just say, oh, it's just a different universe, it's just a different story? Like the Dragon Ball Z movies at the time, or the Dragon Ball films, either the original 20 or so, before Battle of Gods, I think, or whatever number it is, I think it's 17. Or is it 16? 17, okay. They're all portrayed, they were originally thought of as Dragon Ball side stories, right? The directors, the film writers, they're just having fun making these movies, not really thinking about how the connected tissues of them would work with the main manga, canon, anime, or manga, anime, whatever it is, you know? They were just making the story for fun. Same thing with the Golden Jr. saga and Dragon Ball Z, which is awkward to see it because it's weird it just happens, but it's also a fun part of the story. The Golden Jr. saga does work. It's a good little piece of Dragon Ball Z, the anime, to enjoy, right? It is weird that's there. It is kind of quote-unquote non-canon, but who cares? It's a fun piece of Dragon Ball. And see, canon is messy. You know, it is. With Dragon Ball, it is hard to say what is actually, like, what does happen, does not happen to these characters. When in actuality, maybe just use Rick and Morty logic, I guess you could say. How it's like, it's never really the same Rick and Morty you're watching in every episode. Sometimes it's different Rick and Morty from a different universe. The same thing could be said about Dragon Ball. I don't know. I know that's crazy to some of you out there. You might not like that answer, and I understand completely. Trust me, I do. But I'm not the guy to go to for these answers. But another thing that I can tell you, though, about this, another point to make, another really important, it's kind of important, point of view to have about this is look at how Japan treats Dragon Ball canon. The country, so they don't really care about it. I don't know if the viewers care about the accuracy of like what happens in Dragon Ball, even down in Mexico. I seriously doubt they care. Sometimes I watch it and I wonder, well, did this really happen? Did this really happen? But then I remember, wait, no, the only tissue you have, the only connected tissue that really matters is the Dragon Ball manga. And some of you out there are not going to like this at all when I say this, but you have to treat the Dragon Ball, because I've talked to people online about this personally, and it gets kind of heated at times. I got Facebook or on YouTube videos, whatever it might be. You have to treat the Dragon Ball Z animes as separate story entities from the manga. It's not one and the same. You might think that's frustrating, you might think that's confusing, you might think that might not make sense, but take it from somebody who has actually read the original manga. I know what I'm talking about. The anime and the manga are not a one-to-one. They're not exactly the same story. There are differences. There are. So, with that being said, what is canon to Dragon Ball? It just it doesn't really matter. It just follows like whatever story you are following. So to me, I see it this way: the original 42-volume manga is its own version of the story. It's its own first universe, prime universe, I guess you could say, for Dragon Ball. It's like, you know, you have Prime Zero, Universe Zero, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. You guys get what I'm saying. Like it's the basis. It's the center of the story of Dragon Ball. The original 42 volume of Toriyama, no matter what, even the sequel stuff, like the Super manga, which is technically the true continuation of the original manga. It is. You could argue that, but it's called Dragon Ball Super, not Dragon Ball Continued or something like that. It's called Dragon Ball Super. Not even the original Dragon Ball manga is called Dragon Ball Z. It's just called Dragon Ball. From the beginning of Pilaf all the way up to the defeat of Majin Buu, it is just titled Dragon Ball. That is the original, like, in stone canon of what is Dragon Ball. That's all there is to that. Next up, I would argue with you that, well, what followed after that, right? The anime and the original movie adaptations. These are their own universe too. The original TV run of Dragon Ball to Z to GT is its own canon. Yes, I know. That's complicated. I understand. I understand. But yes, that's what I see. All the way up to the Path of Power film, which is like a little nice tribute retelling of the Dragon Ball story. Yup, that's its own thing. Or maybe you could argue that's where this series kind of reboots into Dragon Ball Z Kai. I don't know. But then there's the original 2008 special, The Return of Son Goku and Friends. That's, to me, is canon to the original TV run as well, or potentially canon to just the manga by itself, considering that Toriyama wrote it. Then there's Battle of Gods, Frieza, Resurrection, and Super the anime. That's its own entity. No, I'm sorry. I skipped Dragon Ball Z Kai. Dragon Ball Z Kai, or Dragon Ball Kai, is kind of a reboot / retelling of Dragon Ball. Well, it is, and it's a rebranding of the anime, where they quote-unquote cut down the filler. Again, this is why it's crucial to read the manga, because it's still its own thing. It's not a one-to-one to the manga. It's not. I used to think Dragon Ball Z Kai was a one-to-one to the original manga until I read it, and I was like, oh, no, it isn't. There are differences still. Okay, all right. Which that's important. So, which I know there's going to be people who say it doesn't matter, the basic story is the same thing. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that doesn't matter. Yes, you're right. The basic story, the basic narrative, the heart of the story, the heart of the soul of what you're following, it's all there. Yeah, the themes, everything. Yes, the story is the same, but there are still differences, and those differences do matter. They do play into effect of what I'm talking about here. They absolutely do, about my point of view. So you have got to not discredit what I'm saying. You've got to consider it. You've got to keep it in mind that there are separate entities, and that's what they are. Separate entities, separate versions of the Dragon Ball media. Yeah, it's the same story across the board, sure, but it's also not entirely the same story. There are liberties. There are changes. They're there. They are absolutely there. There's no denying that. And I don't want you to argue with me about this, because I know there's fuckers who do that. There's people who talk down or argue with me or discredit what I'm saying, and they haven't even read the manga. No, you cannot do that. If you have not read the manga, if you have not watched the entirety of the Dragon Ball TV series, all of them, or played most of the games or whatever, you cannot fight with me on this. You can't. You don't have a winning argument, bro. You don't. So that's all there is to it. And I'm not talking about skimming the manga. I'm not talking about reading certain sections. You've got to read it in its entirety. You got to watch the show in its entirety. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the homework like I did. You have got to do it yourself. Then you and I can have discussion about it. But until then, what I say goes, okay? Put my perspective into your perspective for now. Please, I ask of you, out of just simple respect. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Okay, like this whole topic is kind of messy and difficult. This is why it's just easier just to not worry about it. For your sanity, it is. For your sake. Because the writers of Dragon Ball, the anime, outside of Toriyama's work, they do whatever they want. And that's fine. That's valid. They're just fans having fun with ideas. But they get paid to do it. And these are official produced materials. So that's why I think it's unfair and kind of shitty to write GT in the movies off as quote-unquote non-canon. And I said this before in my... I think I said this in my Dragon Ball Z live action. I don't know. I said this in another video. That when people do that, they're not really saying... They're basically trying to discredit these pieces of like art and this like show or movie that you've watched that has to do with Dragon Ball. They're trying to like basically tell you that it doesn't matter no matter what, which is unfair. That is not valid. That is not okay to do. People got paid to create these products. They're there, like... they're loved by fans. Like, I'm not sure how else to say it. Like, yes, okay, you can say just because people worked on it doesn't mean it's it doesn't mean it's validated to like to share the spotlight or to like to like be within like the main story. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I get that. I do. Like, okay, because the same thing can be said about Dragon Ball Evolution, right? Like, yes, okay, I understand. When a product is bad, it's okay to be like, I want nothing to do with that. But that's the thing, though. Dragon Ball GT is not a bad product. You might think it is. You might be convinced that GT is terrible. You're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. It has heart. It has soul. I said earlier in the video, it's Goku's character at his absolute best.
That is probably the biggest strength about Dragon Ball GT is Goku himself in it is so fucking important and valid. Even Vegeta. Vegeta's so well written in Dragon Ball GT. So is well, those two at least are. Okay, so is Gohan. Okay, Gohan is too, yeah, but they don't have a lot of screen time. But Goku and Vegeta, with the screen time they have, you can tell these are these characters at their wisest, and that is really awesome and important. It pays off for being a long-time fan, in my opinion. It absolutely does. Now, again, I am jumping around with my brain and everything, and I'm sorry, but you know, you kind of were warned early in the video I was going to do that. But anyways, back on point. To be fair with you, where's it going with this? Yeah, GT matters. It does. It happened, it exists, it gets the characters right, and that is one of its best points. Yes, it does. Now remember, I wasn't a GT defender from the very beginning. I watched it back in 2010 for the first time, I think, and I was not the biggest fan of it. I was like, this is fucking terrible, and I gave it another shot. And from now on, I think watching it with the Japanese soundtrack does help the experience be more like. It gets you more into it, I think. You know, it really gets you kind of emotional times when you realize this is truly the ending of these characters' journey. Like, this is like the final days of their lives you're watching, and it's kind of like, geez, it is sad. Like, you really feel that with the emotion of the music. I feel like at times it really does encapsulate that feeling. But anyways, as I was trying to say about GT and these characters, again, this is something I said earlier in the video, right? You can have your stuck opinion, you can be however you want to be about this. But just take Vegeta as an example of what I'm talking about here. He has changed a lot because of Goku, because of the story of Dragon Ball, because of his influences on Earth. And you have to remember, if this character has changed, so can you. You're capable of it too, okay? I'm not trying to be manipulative and tell you to change your mind, but at the same time, I guess I kind of am in a way, because I know I'm right. Like, that's why I'm making this video, because I know I'm right. And I think it should be said, and I think it should be showed to people out there who may not fully grasp why this character, Goku, is a good guy, a good father, a good martial artist, a good defender of Earth, a good hero, just a good person overall. You know, again, he's my personal hero. He is. And he's a fictional character, whatever, but he is my personal hero. And he's a lot of people's too. So is Toriyama. May he rest in peace. But, I apologize for jumping everywhere about the timeline. I want to stay focused back to the manga story. And I'm also going to talk about the movies too and how they have an impact on his character. I know you're going to say it doesn't matter because the movies didn't actually happen in the main story, but they are an extension of these characters. Yes, they might be different versions of these characters, sure, but still them. Like, there might be different versions of Goku, Gohan, and the others. There might be different universes for Dragon Ball, but at the heart and soul of it, all these characters are essentially the same character. There isn't anything too wrong about them. The only one that might be vastly different is Justin Chatwin's live-action Goku. He's still Goku to a certain extent, but he's a very different version of that character that, it doesn't entirely work. So, nothing against the actor, and nothing against the people, the actors who were involved with Dragon Ball Evolution. This is an attack on them. That movie was not their fault. You know, that was obviously the people who made it, yeah, but they're just doing their job. Anyways, let's focus on the main stuff. Okay, so when I say the main content, anything that's a manga, an anime, or an animated film, or a movie, you know what I mean, that's outside of Evolution, that has to do with Dragon Ball. I think that's fair. I'm going to use all that stuff, all those sources, to show and talk about you guys that this is important, that Goku does matter, and that he deserves all of the defense he can possibly get. So, you know, I'm going to represent my client now. You know, I'm joking. I'm not a lawyer, but I do need to defend this character because I love him. You know, he is my boy. So, Goku, yeah, so as I was saying earlier, he was an orphan, picked up by Bulma, then he was later on kind of picked up by Master Roshi, trained by him, and then Master Roshi, enters Goku and Krillin into the World Martial Arts Tournament. Now, remember, this is Goku. Goku is only a kid when Master Roshi's putting him in the tournament. That kind of reflects him as what he goes into as a parent with Gohan a little bit. Right? Like when he doesn't involvingly put Gohan into dangerous situations at first. The only time Goku ever really, like, downright gets Gohan involved in a really big earth-shattering threat I think was the androids, and then later on to Cell. Everything up to Frieza, pretty much he told Gohan to not be involved, to stay away, to get away from danger. Every single fucking situation he did. He did. So again, that does not make him a bad father at all. And also, I should add on, he's not a bad husband either. He may not always be able to show with like finances or other ways of showing love and affection to Chi-Chi, but he let Chi-Chi parent Gohan the way she wanted to parent him, and he put his own wants for Gohan aside for Chi-Chi. What the fuck, people? Like, oh my god. Okay, anyways, we're gonna get to that later on, but that is exactly what happened when Gohan was born. Exactly what happened. I'm just saying. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I can't believe the slander this guy gets. It's so, it really is fucking sad. And laughable, too, but it's sad. It is really sad. Like, Goku does deserve so much better. Okay, so, let's talk about the 21st Budokai Tenkaichi. Or was it the 20? I think it's the 23rd, actually. Wait, right? Was it the 21st? Or no, I think it's the 21st. Yeah, I think so, if I can remember right. I think so. I'm gonna double check really quickly. 21st Budokai tournament. Yeah, it is. Okay, yep, that's the first one they do. Yes, it is. Then the 22nd, and then the 23rd, and then I think it's the 25th in the Buu Saga. I don't know if that's accurate or not. It might be the 26th for all we know. I think Mr. Satan won the 24th. He did, and then he was the World Martial Arts Tournament champion from there. The unseen tournament. We never see it, but he did. So the 21st Budokai, okay, Tenkaichi, Strongest Out of the Heavens, World Martial Arts Tournament. Master Roshi goes in secretly as Jackie Chun to test his students, which is really awesome and wise of him to do as a master and a teacher. And a very important life lesson for Goku: under no circumstances, Master Roshi had to win that tournament, whether it was Goku or Krillin who won, which I think Roshi knew. I don't remember entirely if he knew Goku was going to win or not, but you know, that's obviously what does play out. I think he kind of knew he was going to get up to that point, but yeah, I don't know if they touch on that, but obviously Goku does get to that final fight with him. And under no circumstances, Roshi had to teach Goku that no matter how strong Goku is and powerful he is, and how skilled and talented he is, there's always someone better out there, which is a very true lesson about life as well. You might think you're the best at something, which is absolutely okay. It's okay for you to show off your talent. It's okay for you to be like, I am the fucking greatest at this, but don't become an arrogant fucker. Don't become an arrogant prick out of it. There's always someone better, whether they're popular, whether they're unknown, whether they're like in the shadows, whether it doesn't matter. Like, there's always someone out there better. Like, there's Gordon Ramsay, right? The master chef guy. There's probably someone out there better than him. We just don't know it. That's all I'm saying about that. I don't know. Maybe Gordon. I don't know. I don't know much about Gordon Ramsay. He's just the first thing that popped in my mind. Maybe even he's admitted that there's chefs out there better than him in different ways. It's all about talent. Talent is expressed through different ways. Like, he's better in some things, and others are better in different things. Like, you know, and that lesson is very true all the way up to Dragon Ball Super with the fight with Jiren. Like, Goku and Frieza bested Jiren at the end of it, but Jiren is still stronger than them by the end of that fight. They did beat him, but I think Jiren was still stronger than Goku and Frieza, or Goku at least, except for Mastered Ultra Instinct. Yeah, but Goku couldn't even fully tap into it yet. Oh my god, I completely forgot I was talking about, like, different universes of Dragon Ball canon. So, I was just drinking my water. So I think for Super, the anime, it is a sequel to Dragon Ball Z Kai, the anime, to me. That's the way I see it, even though they reference some of the filler from Z, which is fine. So whatever you want to think. Hey, you know what? You follow the story however you want to. This is just the way I see it. The way I see it is that whatever new story comes out is like the definitive new sequel / story / new reboot universe. Yeah, like, I think Super anime connects to Z Kai anime or Kai. And then the manga connects to the original manga, and all that is well and dandy. And then there's the movies, which the Super movies obviously connect to Super. There's no question about that. And then there's Dragon Ball Daima, which kind of throws everything out of, like, proportion here of what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that was complicated. I like to think that Dragon Ball Daima is potentially the true, honest-to-heart, God, soul, and body, mind, whatever sequel to the original Dragon Ball manga. I do think it is. I do. But then there's Toyotaro's Dragon Ball Super, which Toriyama also made. Dragon Ball Daima, you could say it's a prequel to Super, but get real with that. Like, I know that's what it was portrayed as. I know that's what the officials say. I understand that, and I'm one who's saying, you have to base it off of the official stuff instead of your own headcanon. Wait, no, I didn't say that, did I? I don't know. But anyways, okay. Listen. I know what they say. I know that, like, Toei Animation, the creators all say that Daima is a prequel, but it isn't. You cannot tell me that Super Saiyan 4 was involved in Dragon Ball Super. It never gets. There's no relevance to it whatsoever in Dragon Ball Super. Not even the Demon. Nothing that you saw and experienced in Daima is relevant to Super. And if they reference it later on, that's great. But, like, that's just gonna confuse so many people. That also confused the Japanese audiences. It might. I have no idea. I don't know, but to me, I think Daima is still its own universe, and then the Super anime and manga are their own universes. I don't care. It's complicated enough as it is. Just, like, I don't see people trying to figure out and argue, like, what fits where when it comes to Marvel or DC or any other universe. But that's because the writers usually tell you flat out, this is a different universe. This is not the main canon universe. But sometimes they don't tell you that, and I'm guessing you're intelligent enough to understand that, oh, this is just a side story. That's what it is. It's a fucking side story. It doesn't mean it's not canon. It just means it's doing its own thing, and it's fine for what it is. Yes, there's only one true connective tissue canon, and that is the original manga. Everything else is just its own thing, doing its own thing, and that's okay. My God. Okay, do you got that understood? Yes? Okay, I hope so. So with that in mind, I can finally talk for another hour about how important Goku is. Oh my God, sorry about that, guys. But it needed to be said, because I know there's people out there who will argue with me. And to be fair, though, it's okay to be genuinely confused about that. It's okay to be like, well, like, I don't understand, like, what fits with what. I understand. It is. I'm not here to say that, like, what you tell me about this is wrong inherently. Okay, well, I'm not here to say that about, like, what matters for connective tissue, but I think it's important to realize and understand and come to terms that, like, the only thing that matters to Dragon Ball canon is the manga. That is literally it, and I'm talking about strictly the original, not Super. That is literally the only thing that matters when it comes to, like, what connects with what. And I guess it's the only example I should really use. In fact, I don't even have to get into this. I said everything I needed to say by now, pretty much. But we're going to anyways, because Goku absolutely deserves all the attention he can get. And for what he's done. I mean, he's Earth's greatest defender, for crying out loud. His friends, the main characters of Dragon Ball, know better than you might about Goku. Like, I'm just saying, okay? That's relevant. Yeah, Goku's friends, Krillin, Tien, Piccolo, Yamcha, and yes, even Vegeta. Now, yeah, especially Piccolo and Vegeta. They're the biggest candidates, the biggest two characters that are relevant to what I'm talking about here. That I think you guys get it. Goku has had the biggest impact on them, and Gohan too for Piccolo for sure. But there's no discrediting that. And there's people who are gonna do the whole Piccolo better dad bullshit fucking crap. Oh my God, no! Don't even go there. You truly don't understand the story if you really are gonna go there. What happened when Piccolo first met Gohan? He treated a 4 to 5-year-old boy like absolute fucking shit. Left him alone for 6 months, beats the shit out of him. Yeah, and you mean to tell me he's a better father than Goku? Are you fucking kidding me with that crap? There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that Piccolo is a good father figure for Gohan. I can give you that much. Maybe now in the story you could say he might be potentially a better father than Goku, but I don't even fully agree with that. Goku's always been a good dad to Gohan, and Piccolo has been too. You know, like, they're both good parental figures for the character of Gohan. I will agree with that. Yes, I think you should absolutely give Goku credit. Like, I hate those parody videos that slander the man. Like, it's not good humor because it doesn't make fucking sense. It would be like taking Hank Hill from King of the Hill and making him more like how Homer Simpson is currently in The Simpsons, like his current character. Yes, Hank Hill, which I love Hank Hill. I think he's one of the best TV dads in animated history. He absolutely is. He's a good guy. He is, and I think he's a really good, righteous man. He's well written. He's fine the way he is for the most part, especially if you fucking pay attention to the story. Yeah, he's not perfect. I didn't say that. I'm not saying Goku's. I never said these characters are perfect. That's not what this is. But he's a good man. Yeah, that just makes no sense to me. Like, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it would be like. It's like you take this wonderfully loved character and you're basically turning them into something that they're not. That's not funny. That's annoying. That's obnoxious. And it's honestly very disheartening. And it sucks. And it's not fair. And it doesn't make any damn sense. And you should be ashamed of yourself for doing that. Fuck. Like, I've seen terrible take videos on Goku being a bad father. Like, animated parodies. Like, people just talking about it. Blah, blah, blah. When it's like, they're basically taking him and not even really taking him. You're doing this character that may look like Goku, but that's not Goku. That's not even a parody of the character. The only ones who did, in my humble opinion, the only people who did a good job at portraying a decent parody of Goku is Team 4-Star. I know early in this video I was giving them shit a little bit, but I will give credits too. I'm still a fan of their work, and I think they did a good job with parodying the characters. That is the best versions of them. In terms of a parody, it is the best versions of them, yes. Not like, not official. No, I think the best character written versions of them is still late Z to like GT pretty much. I think that's these characters at their best, yes. Is that version of the story. But, yeah, they're to blame a little bit too about the bad father stuff. But they also show when Goku is not a bad dad. He says to Gohan before he dies that year in the time chamber with him was the best year of his entire life. Just spending time with his boy. That's very sweet. It is. It's like, would you really call someone like that a bad father? Like that, shame on you. Shame on you. Seriously. Like, what? No, come on. So, yeah. I don't know. And even Kaiser Neko kind of felt guilty. He even said in an interview that maybe they should lay off a little bit on the jokes. And I think it was Lanny Bator that said it, but it totally paid off, and it did. It did. So there you go. The creator of Dragon Ball Z Abridged himself is even saying, I kind of felt bad for doing that. And he also, and you have to remember, keep in mind, it's a fucking parody. One of my closest friends, I mentioned before, named Tony. When we watched Dragon Ball Z Bridge back in high school, I used to download the episodes, put them on my iPod back in the day. That was good times. He used to ask me if that actually happens in the show, and I was like, no, like it's edited, you can tell. And yeah, and Kaiser Neko is incredibly talented. I'm not gonna give that guy any shit. He has nothing but my respect. Me being an editor myself, for one, yeah, no, Kaiser Neko is goated. In terms of like editing skills, he absolutely is. So earlier I said I was going to give other content creators credit. I'm already doing it with Team 4-Star. But there's another one I want to talk about, and that is his name. I love that fucking name, Creative Everyday. That's his YouTube channel name, I believe so. Creative Everyday. That's a great name, dude. He made this awesome video. Oh, sorry, in case you didn't hear me earlier, I was drinking water, and my throat's kind of like... It's called Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Is a hilarious masterpiece. I haven't finished the video yet. I've been watching it in spurts daily, or so, every now and then, as of recent this past week. But it is a really good, honestly awesome video. But yeah. Team 4-Star's DBZA may well be the strongest love letter to Dragon Ball I've ever seen. Well, that's very sweet of you to say that. I'm trying to give Dragon Ball a big love letter in this video personally, but I kind of agree. It is a good... No, it is. Dragon Ball Z Bridge is definitely a good love letter. And to see Sean Schemmel talk down on it is kind of sad. It is, but that's whatever. So, and then there's a couple of other YouTubers that I really want to give credit that made two really good Goku videos. I need to watch these videos again, or at least one of them I saw recently, but this one is brilliantly entitled, because it's true, Nobody Understands Goku. Again, I feel like I'm the exception to that, but I know I'm not. I know there's a lot of you out there that probably understand this character too. This is a really good 30-minute video that's basically has the same heart as what I'm trying to do here with this video by TSO_Sage. I'm going to probably put a video card or a little thing here of the video and a link where you can put it on screen or in the description too if you want to click it that way. If I forget to do it in the video, which I won't, but there's this one, at least I shouldn't, and then The Biggest Lie Told About Goku by The Masked Man. Again, he's going off about the whole bad father shit with Goku, and I'm so happy that he made this video. But yeah, these are good videos. I need to watch them again later on, but it just helps that my viewpoint on this character, which is canon, it's accurate. It gets validated. It gets seen, and I'm like, thank God that I'm not the only one that feels this way, because I'm not. Now I can continue talking about the manga. Yeah, the tournament thing, and then after that we get the Red Ribbon Army Saga, where he saves the world against the Red Ribbon Army, essentially. He meets Ader. Ader is such an important character to Goku's growth. Because Goku was going to kill General White, this army character dude who was defenseless, basically, but he's an evil man. But Goku easily overpowered him, and Ader taught him that he didn't need to do that because he's better than that. Goku's better than that, to show mercy. And that has a humongous importance to his psyche later on when he fights the likes of Frieza and everyone else. Damn, that is a good character plot point for Goku. Now, I really don't want to skip Dragon Ball, but I'm just going to jump around now because I do need to talk about the Bad Father stuff. I need to get off my chest. This is what this video was about. This video was about this primary topic. He already is a good hero. You can't tell me he's not. And you could be like, Goku's not really a hero, because Toriyama said, look, I don't care if the character themselves call themselves a hero or not. I don't care if the creator claims that they're a hero or not. Your actions are louder than your words. It's a very true fact about life. And I probably, remember, knowledge is power, all that jazz, right? So, that's kind of the theme and point in this video here. Same thing with Monkey D. Luffy, right? He's a pirate. He's a pirate first, yes. But have his actions shown that he's a hero? 120%. He saved countless islands and villages and people from various traumatic situations. Goku's no different. He saved the Earth on countless occasions. He saved his friends, his family. He is a hero. He is. Not only is he, yes, he's a defender, he's a savior, but he also uses his powers, his abilities for the choices of good when it comes to evil threats, and he even tries to convince villains to be a good person. A hero would do that. Yes, Goku is a hero. Whether he admits it or not, he is a hero, right? Yes, he's tried to reach to he has thankfully reached to Vegeta's heart. He's tried to reach to Frieza's heart. I think he kind of gave up on Cell and Buu, but then there's the likes of Moro, right? He didn't give up on Moro, but it still didn't work out. The point is that Goku's a good guy. He is. Okay, that's not anything I was saying. I was saying he's a hero, but he is. So, now, let's just get into the fatherhood stuff, because this video is long enough already as it is. And, Dragon Ball just shows you how he's like how he grows into like a good man, how he's like a good friend, and eventually basically a good husband. Like, he doesn't even know what the hell marriage is, and he still agrees once he finds out what it is to marry Chi-Chi. Like, come on, Now, okay. Which is sweet and all, but, I'm not the biggest fan of Chi-Chi at all, but again, I can kind of understand her. I said that earlier in the video. And if Goku can still manage to love her, hey, you know what? More power to them. I have nothing against them as a couple, maybe. It's not really my say, right? Goku married her, she married him. They were living in the house, raising kids together, right? Or a kid or two together, more or less. When Goku's not dead or something. But, yeah, basically, I'm just saying, like, the dude is... Okay. I'm getting lost in thought here. Oh, my God. Chi-Chi might get on my nerves, but if they love each other, that's all that matters. Okay. Now, and if I'm mature to recognize that, I think you can be mature enough to recognize a lot of things about Goku's character, right? Even though I'm putting my personal feelings aside, I still respect the fact that they are a couple, that they're married, and I can appreciate to a certain degree and understand it. It doesn't mean that, yeah, like, I am here to say some things as the fan if it's true. It's not opinionated if it's factual. You can't say it's an opinion when you see the fucking facts. And the facts are is that Chi-Chi's kind of abusive, but she is, unfortunately. That's not this video. I might make a video about Chi-Chi one day. I might make a video. I want to make a video about Gohan, Vegeta, Krillin, Piccolo, and Chi-Chi eventually. I think I will. But for now, this is about Goku. He's the main character. It's the first big video I'm doing on this kind of thing. Okay. Alright, so, fatherhood Goku. So, at the very basics, at the beginning of Gohan's life, Goku does want Gohan to learn martial arts, but he puts that aside because Chi-Chi says it's not good for him. Which isn't true. That's bullshit. Martial arts is good for you. I think any of you out there who actually study martial arts knows it's good for you. I have a friend who does. I've known countless people who have. It is good for you. And Goku is a very good fictional character to aspire to look towards inspiration in martial arts. He is. Like, Toriyama himself wasn't an actual martial artist, but he has used real martial arts for his story, for his characters, to the point where it comes off as straight up inspiring. because it does. You know what I mean? You know how many times I watch Dragon Ball and I get inspired to, like, you know, do what they're doing in this show in real life? Like, I'm sure a lot of people have. That's the thing. So, anyways, before we even get into the story of Z, like during the 5-year time skip, it's all off screen, but we do know that based on what the characters say and what we have seen in flashback scenes later on during the Cell Saga, that Goku has indeed put aside his personal feelings of wanting to train Gohan to be a martial artist for Chi-Chi's sake. How does that not make him a good husband and father? I don't understand. It would make him a good father to be like, I still want to do what's best for my boy. But Goku doesn't really fully fathom that, you know, martial arts... Maybe he does. He knows that doing martial arts is best for Gohan. He knows that it is. But he also understands that so is studying and all that jazz. And he doesn't want to offend Chi-Chi. He doesn't want to, like, you know, get on her bad side or anything. So he listens to her. Woman, like, back me up here. Does that not make a good partner? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, yes, it does. He's listened to what she wants. Like, what the fuck? You know, that's all you need to know about that. Like I said, this does not have to be complicated. There's no dancing around this. There's no deeper meaning. I mean, okay, yes, you can look into it deeply if you want to, but like in a positive way, you can expand on what that means. My point is, like, you get it, right? Like, that does not make him a bad anything. Okay, he puts aside what he may personally want for his child for his wife's sake, right? He still spends time with his boy. He still spends time with his wife. They're still a family. You know, Goku's not really employed, but that's because they had the tournament money during this time. He later on does get a job as a ranch farmer. He even says he doesn't really hate his job. He never says that. He just says he needs to find time for what he loves to do too, which he does. But that's during Super's era, right? Okay, so there's that from the very beginning, and then we get into Goku wanting to introduce Gohan to all of his childhood friends and Master Roshi and all that jazz, which there's nothing wrong with that. Both of them riding the Nimbus Cloud, and then this doesn't happen in the manga. This is anime only. Gohan's life is in danger in episode 1. You know, with the whole waterfall scene. What do we see Goku do? Try to save his fucking life, right? Good father points are on 2 right there. He tries to save his boy's life. He almost dies. He saves him, right? Well, he doesn't save him. Gohan saves himself, but Goku still puts in the effort. That's all you need to know about that. Again, I could just stop the video here before even getting into it. Like, I really could. Then there's the Dead Zone movie, which I know you could. I don't care about canon, not canon. We're not doing that. This is just examples. That whole movie, the very first Dragon Ball Z movie, one of the biggest, through Goku's perspective, what is that movie about? Saving his son from getting kidnapped. A good parent would absolutely do that. You know, I once read a story about that this Texan man, this is like 10 years back, I think. It's kind of fucked up, but, because it's sad, but, you know, he did the right thing. These boys, I think, raped and murdered his daughter, and he killed them. This guy killed these guys for killing his kid. And the court was like, you're free to go. Of course, because he did the right thing. Like, it's fucked up and sad that his daughter was taken in such a horrible way. I mean, what would you do? Right? Jesus Christ. I'm just saying, there's no way Goku would not avenge his boy. I'm just saying. Or try... Okay, so... I don't know why I brought that up, but it just made me think. Like, you know when a person is a good person, and Goku absolutely deserves to be known and recognized as a good person. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry for bringing up such a dark story, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure it was in Texas if I can remember right, but it was very long. It was very long ago. It was. So right, the Dead Zone movie was all about Goku trying to save Gohan. And then there's Raditz. His space alien brother-in-law shows up. Now, to this point, or his brother. I'm sorry. Wow, space alien brother shows up. At this point in the story, Goku has always believed he was a human being. And for the most part, as a father during that first 5 years, he puts away his Saiyan wants, his needs, his for Gohan. He doesn't make him a fighter. He doesn't make him a martial artist. He treats him like any other parent on Earth would treat their kid. How any other parent on Earth... Any good parent, I should say, any good parent on Earth should treat their child. He does what he believes is best for his son, for his child, for his boy. Then Chi-Chi be like, you gotta be smart, you gotta study. Goku's like, okay, alright, that's what you want, then I'll let you have that. That's all there is to it. because he's just a good guy. Like, that's just how Goku's wired, you know? You could say, oh, he's wired to put fighting first, and yes, he is, but he's also wired to listen to his loved ones and to see their point of view. And he's not really one to argue others. Like, I can't really think of much times when Goku has argued when he thought someone was wrong about something, especially his wife. That's all you need to know about that. Like, okay, so yeah, there you go. And he still spends time with his boy, and I already said all that. And the Raditz shows up. What does Goku immediately try to do? Save his fucking son's life from being something. Okay, Gohan may not have been killed. No, wait, yeah, Raditz almost did kill Gohan. And again, during the fight of the Raditz, that whole concept, the whole situation of the Raditz was all about saving Gohan. The whole thing, from when he shows up to when Piccolo kills the both of them, that whole situation was about saving Gohan through Goku's perspective. That's all he fucking cared about. You cannot tell me this man's a bad father. I'm not allowing it. There's no fucking excuse. There just isn't. So this is just me explaining the main plot, the main story. That's all I'm doing, and that's exactly what happens. So he finds out he's a Saiyan. He finds out he's an alien. Piccolo kills both of them. Then he dies. And yes, of course, he could come back to life right away to be back with his family. But that can't happen because the fight's not over. There's two stronger warriors coming to Earth to kill everybody. And so Goku has got to use that time to train with the legendary King Kai, the Lord of the Worlds, the Kai of the North, basically the god to a certain extent in the story. Then the Supreme Kai is basically God too. Anyways, whatever. Goku spends that time at training. Now, you're not gonna call somebody who's absent because they're fucking dead about anything. Like that, he's innocent. He's 100% innocent. Like, fucking Christ. Anyways, okay, moving on. To that. What happens when Goku comes back? Right now, during this time, Piccolo is softening up a bit. Well, not yet in Gohan. Not until he sacrifices his life to save Gohan too, which is credible for Piccolo. And I'll make a video about Piccolo someday. I will. And my dogs are acting like jackasses. Hold on. Sorry about my dogs barking like maniacs, you know, they're just being dogs. That's just how they are. You'll hear them every now and then in my videos, probably. Okay, so Goku comes back from the dead at this point in the story. I guess if you don't know how that works, then you're really lost, and you really don't understand Dragon Ball at all. The Dragon Balls, they grant wishes, and they can bring the dead back to life. So, there you go. Okay, so that's how you know. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Goku dies a few times in the series. So for his family too, by the way, not like as a hero, like not as a weakling, no, but like as a strong, brave man. That's a strong, brave man that he is. Okay. So continuing on with what I was explaining to you folks. What is the first thing that happens when Goku gets back from the dead? Well, he rushes to the Saiyans, but after that, when he arrives, he saves Gohan's life. The very first action that he does is he saves Gohan's fucking life from being curb stomped on by Nappa with the flying Nimbus. That's the very first thing he does. That's so awesome and iconic. It's a great moment when like the Nimbus gets Gohan and he's safe because of Goku. He saves him. And of course he proceeds to kidnap his ass, spares his life because he's a good person, and he's willing to forgive him, you know, after he killed everybody. Which, you know, thinking back to like Goku not killing Frieza, yeah, okay, I can see that because Nappa killed Yamcha, Tien, Piccolo, and Chaozu. Now I know Goku's the most fondest of Krillin. He's his best friend. He grew up with him, but Yamcha's his first friend, right? Debatably. Besides Krillin. Krillin's his first true friend. Yes, for sure. But, yeah, no, it just goes to show that he was more, he wasn't as angry, but he was still pretty furious that everyone's gone, yes. But he was able to keep his emotions in check more so than when he did against Frieza. So, of course, he shows Nappa mercy, because that's how he is. Vegeta ends up killing Nappa, because he's no longer strong or powerful, whatever. His reasoning is... And then Vegeta beckons for a battle with Goku. And Goku, of course, them both being Saiyans, both want to fight each other. And then what happens next? Does Goku tell Gohan to show his strength, to go after Vegeta, to fight him? Of course he doesn't. No, he tells Gohan to go home where he'll be safe with his mom. He thinks what's going on is too much for his son. Obviously, he's just a 5-year-old at this point in the story, maybe 6 or 4 or 5 or 6, and he doesn't want Gohan involved anymore because it's too dangerous for him, as any good parent in the world would do. Now, Goku's not an average Earthling. He's a very powerful warrior. He's basically akin to the same idea as Superman, you know? Basically, he's got super strength. He's capable of so much, and he's still got the same heart as Superman as well. You know, telling his boy to not be involved because it's too dangerous for him. He knows what he's talking about. Again, another example of Goku being a good dad. I would do the same exact thing if it was me. I would tell my child to please get out of this dangerous situation because it's too much for them and go somewhere safe, like with their mom or something, or with my parents or something along those lines. You get what I'm saying? Also, yeah, remember, Goku doesn't have parents. That's right, I mentioned that earlier. So please, like, keep that in mind, guys. Like, if you grew up with a mom and a dad, and you have a whole family, Goku earned his family through his friends. That's his family. Like, he doesn't have anyone else besides his friends. Like, let that sink in, guys. Like, his real mom and dad are dead. His grandpa Gohan is long gone. Now he has a new family. He also created his own family, too, through, you know, with Chi-Chi and Gohan and everything. Yeah, sure. But you get what I'm saying, though. Just try to put it through his perspective. Like, what would you do, you know, if you were Goku? If you're going to be such a harsh critic on the guy, what the fuck would you do if you're in his situation? What would you do if you were him with all of his powers? I'm just saying, like, back off, okay? Like, and you don't know what you're talking about. You really don't, which is why this video has to be made. Okay, so, of course he tells his kid to not get involved with the fight. And of course Gohan does it anyways, but on his own volition, on his own action. Gohan decides to step back in to fight Vegeta in his Great Ape form. He doesn't get told to do it. He does it to help his father. Krillin, of course, comes in to help too. Then Goku gets hospitalized. And after Vegeta gets defeated. So he's really powerless to do anything at this point in the story. You really can't give him a hard time here. But this moment is... People love to take this moment out of context. They love to slander this man. And it's fucked up. So Gohan bonded with Piccolo. He means a lot to him. He does. And the characters all decide to go to Piccolo's home origin planet, Namek, where there are Dragon Balls. And so Goku can't go yet because he's in the hospital, so they're figuring out who's going to go to Namek to collect the 7 Dragon Balls. Of course, Bulma volunteers. She's already part of the mission. And then there's Gohan. Gohan, again, his own volition, his own intention, his own damn actions, his own psyche. No one's telling him to fucking do this. Says he wants to go to this strange alien planet that no one else knows about for his friend Piccolo, for his mentor, for his master, for someone that he respects and looks up to a lot. He wants to do right by Piccolo. Now, what would you do if this is your kid and they want to do something that meant a lot to them? And now you did know that there'd be any dangerous threats on this planet. It's peaceful for all you know because it's inhabited by peaceful aliens, as King Kaya said. Would you tell your child not to go, or would you tell your child it is okay for you to go? I'm going to let you know right now, there is no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer to that. You're not a bad parent if you say yes or no to that kind of situation. If they're under the watchful eye, under people that you trust, that you see as family, sure. And what if Gohan, you know, it's Gohan, right? He's really powerful. I'm just saying he is capable. Yeah, I get it. In the real dark world that we're in, you can't fully trust anyone. But, you know, Goku would probably trust Bulma and Krillin with his life. Of course he would. He's known them since he was a boy. And they have done a lot right by him. So he was in the right to trust them with Gohan. He was. Chi-Chi doesn't know them as well as Goku does. So in her defense, she kind of has the right to be freaking out about Gohan going. She doesn't know what the fuck is going on. That doesn't mean that she's entirely right, though. But she's not entirely wrong, either. It's complicated. It is. You have to understand through Chi-Chi's perspective, too. I may not like her that much as a character. I really do not like her. But she doesn't fully understand what's going on, to be fair. I think it was shitty that she treated Goku the way she did. You know, after the fight with Vegeta. I do think it's a terrible character moment for her. 100%. But she was by Goku's side the whole time he was in the hospital. That's pretty big. That is pretty big. I'll give her... you know, I'm letting my own personal feelings about the character's side, because I'm mature enough to do that, to her say what credit is due for her, you know? Yeah, I'd say she's more convoluted than Goku is. Like, I can't tell if Chi-Chi's a good character or not sometimes, but I really don't think she's a really good character. Compared to Goku, at least, definitely not. No. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit by what I said about this moment. I feel like most, in the real world sense, I think most to all parents would say absolutely not to their kid to, like, go into a strange alien planet, whether the people you trust or not. But Gohan was able to express himself in this moment before Goku got a word in. Gohan did say that, you know, he feels like he owes Piccolo quite a bit, and that he really wants to help bring him back. And he was very stern about it. He's like, I'm going, no matter whether you like it or not, to his own mother. He was pretty fucking serious about it. Now, you might say, hey, don't talk to your mom that way, or don't talk to your dad that way, whoever it is he's talking to. However, you can tell how passionate in Gohan's heart it is. This isn't that kind of situation. This isn't like, you know, shame on you, kid. This is like they're trying to do something right for someone they deeply care about. What would you do? I mean, that is a very difficult thing to answer. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure what I would do. I don't know if I would say yes or no to my kid. I have no idea what I would do in that kind of situation. But I don't think Goku was wrong to say that it was okay for Gohan to go. And I don't think Chi-Chi was necessarily wrong either. She was just worried about her kid, you know? I don't think either one of them was wrong. I don't think either one of the characters were wrong in that moment. So I'm going to give Goku and Chi-Chi both a pass there, because I think it's fair to, you know? It's a very convoluted situation. It is. So Gohan decides to go Namek with Bulma and Krillin, and it works out beautifully in the spaceship. And then there's fake Namek and everything. Krillin and Gohan bond more so than they, you know, they become more friends, which I love it. You know, Krillin is the unmentionable other uncle figure Gohan has in his life besides Piccolo. Well, Piccolo's more like a father figure, yes, but Krillin and Piccolo are like really close to Gohan, and of course Piccolo grows to become close with Goku as well over time. You know, especially during the 3 years of training with the androids, which we're gonna get to that. Okay, so they go to Namek. Then there's a lot of insane shit going on. Now, I love the fucking Namekian saga, the Namek saga, the Namek saga, but it's there's so much plot that happens that it is hard to remember. Now, I also want to say right now, everything up to this point that I have said is all canon to the manga. It has all happened in the manga. Yes, maybe the character dialogue was a little different. Oh, actually, you're gonna know that because I'm showing you in the video. I don't even have to go over it. But yeah, all these events do happen in the main story. And what I say earlier, the manga is the only thing you can rely on when it comes to true canon, right? Right! So now you know. Okay, so the Namekian saga is wonderful. It's a lot of people's favorites. It's probably the best part of the original Dragon Ball story. Honestly, I love the Android saga. It's my favorite part in the story, probably. But this is still, I will admit, this is probably the best Dragon Ball gets ever. Planet Namek, man, it has the best stories. This and the Mora arc are both wonderful and peak and well written and epic. But again, this is super long. A lot does happen. Even the manga, it's hard to keep track of everything. But this is where we get introduced to Frieza, Valiant and Val Dude. And Goku's out of commission during this whole event. So we gotta fast forward to when he shows up, because this is about defending Goku. So Krillin and Krillin and Gohan do actually unite with Vegeta, because Vegeta, as much of a vile, evil dude he is, there's a greater threat. Frieza, the man that killed the villainous tyrant that killed Vegeta's father, his home planet, his entire race, and basically he made Vegeta to what he is now. Which, I know, there's gonna be fans that have their opinions about that. That's a very complicated thing, but there's some truth to that. Vegeta was already a bad, quote-unquote bad kid before Frieza was involved, but Frieza and the horrible things that Frieza has done, Vegeta acts like he doesn't care about what happened to Planet Vegeta and his father, but I think he does. He just doesn't really show it because he's Vegeta, it's his character. But I truly believe that the horrible things Frieza did have a psychological effect on Vegeta to become as violent as he was in early Z. I do fucking 100% believe it. I 100,000% believe that the horrendous things Frieza has done, killing Vegeta's parents and his entire race, and whatnot, and basically mentally torturing the boy for his whole life, and his people. Yeah, I truly believe that it did have a negative effect on Vegeta's brain overall and make him more evil than he kind of already was. I do believe so. Whether Vegeta admits it or not, whether you might realize it or not, I do think there is some truth to that. A lot of people don't really talk about that, but I do think... If I'm bringing up a lot of things I feel like a lot of Dragon Ball fans don't really talk about, but here we are. But yeah, no, 100%. And it's okay if you didn't fully pick up on that, or anything, you know, it really is. Like, Dragon Ball is such a deep series that you will always pick up something new whenever you, like, watch it or read it again. There's always something deep there that you may not have realized before. And that is something that new that I kind of caught on to myself personally. Actually, it's something kind of felt about for a while. I just haven't really conveyed into words yet. And I'm not saying that the audience, obviously, you guys aren't dumb. You know, that's not what this is. No, I'm going to be under the impression that you guys are smart and well-educated. And that is a part of why I'm making this video, to help expand on your minds a little bit about the series and the characters and whatnot. You know, that's not to say that it's okay if you didn't pick up on something. And it's okay, again, I'm trying not to leave any stone unturned for Goku's defense. And it's okay if, yeah, it's all good, you know. This video is all about education. It is, within Dragon Ball. So, moving on to, you know, obviously Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma meet a new friend, Dende, and everything. And then there's Guru, Nail. There's a lot of new awesome characters involved with this arc. Yes, there are villains and heroes alike. You know, then the Ginyu Force show up. They're vile monsters. They're Frieza's right-hand men. My dog is still barking like a maniac in the background. I'm not sure it's picking up on the microphone, but she is. So this is when Goku shows up. Gohan is close to death here. He got his neck broken. Goku shows up this is a fucking badass iconic moment too, with the spaceship, and he just crashes down in Namek. It's sweet. It's a beautiful shot. I think, what is the first, I can't remember what the first thing he does is, but I think the very, very first thing he does is check on Krillin and Gohan. I think he does, immediately. And he gives Gohan a sense of being, and I think before Krillin, I don't remember. I think he does, yeah. It makes sense to me that he would do that, so I'm sure he does. Again, whether he gives it to Krillin first or not, I don't think he did. I'm confident he gave it to Gohan first. Pro dad move right there. Good dad moment, good Goku daddy moment. Of course, you know, Papa Goku moment. Yes, there you go. Point number 50 at this point. I don't know, but he's got all the good dad points that I can think of right now. Okay, so then there's that moment, right? And of course he tells him to hold on as he fights Jason Birder, and he wins that battle. And then Vegeta's gonna help him fight Jason, Captain Ginyu, but then he ditches him. So Goku's on his own, and then Captain Ginyu switches bodies. Okay, so let's just slow down a minute here as I continue talking about the main timeline, because maybe it doesn't matter as much. Let's just hypothetically talk about what if there's no threat in the Dragon Ball story with Gohan's inception. I don't know. Let's just fucking entertain the idea for a moment, with the exception of maybe Goku getting the heart virus, which would be very sad, but because he would die when Gohan was at the age of 6 or 7 or so. I think maybe 8. I don't know how old he was. Yeah, maybe more like 8. I'm not sure. But anyways, maybe there's no heart virus in this timeline. I don't know. Let's just pretend there's no like alien villainous threats trying to attack Earth. Would Goku still be a good father in that situation? Maybe. It would allow Gohan to expand his brain and become the scholar that Chi-Chi wants him to be. Let's just say that. And when it mattered most, Goku would be involved with Gohan's life still. He'd still be supportive of his roles. He'd still be there for him. You know, he'd still listen to him. Yes, he would still be a good dad. That's all there is to it. He would let Gohan and Goten live the lives that they want to live and that Chi-Chi wants for them. And I can totally see Goten still wanting to be a fighter with his dad. I don't know. I can just see that happening and it being okay because it's what Goten wants. Versus studying, Gohan being the one who's more involved with studying. Now, yes, we gotta talk about the Cell game saga. We do, and it's okay. That's alright. It totally is. But before we get, okay, maybe we should continue talking about the Frieza saga and everything. Okay, so, yeah, when he's in Captain Ginyu's body, he does tell Gohan to not lose confidence, to not lose faith, that he's got this, that he can totally help him get his body back. Again, I know that's questionable, but Goku's desperate. He's dying, okay? He's got a hole in his Captain Ginyu body right now. Like, in his Captain Ginyu body heart right now. He's fucking dying. What would you do in that situation? Can you even relate? Like, you never had a hole in your heart before, have you? No, we don't have magic beans or anything like that in the real world. Like, Jesus Christ, you'd be dead. You know, you're not going to be strong enough to survive that. So, again, it's hard. Yeah. So, in Goku's defense, like, he really didn't have a choice. He had to tell his kid to basically be able to his other body and to, like, you know, defend himself and shit and, like, help him get his body back. Which, again, I don't blame Goku for that one bit. And then after he heals up, and the the healing tank, after Vegeta passes away, he fights Frieza. The epic fight with Frieza finally happens, right? An iconic, humongous, beautiful battle. The best thing about Dragon Ball Z, probably, sure, but he again tells Gohan not to get involved. Krillin and Piccolo, I don't know if he flat tells them or he just fucking gets into it. It's like bing bing bop bo bing bop bam. You know, they just get into it. They just fight and it's fucking awesome. And right, so the only thing he really asks Gohan for, or I don't even know if he doesn't ask Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo for help at all when he fights Frieza. He doesn't. Yes, there's a pattern going on here, right? He keeps telling Gohan to get out of, to be away, but he's telling him to get away from dangerous situations, folks. Don't get it fucking twisted, because it happens again after he unlocks Super Saiyan. After Krillin gets killed, after Frieza survives and murders Krillin's ass, well, actually, let me rerun the clock. When he's healing in the healing tank, he tries to, like, get out of that tank to go and help him fight the fight, but he can't because he's healing still. You know, and it's usually moments when Gohan's in danger. I remember in the anime, I think this is anime only, but it's still valid. He struggles to come out of the healing tank to go and save them, but he can't. There's that. That's when Gohan's in danger. And then there's Icarus. We got to bring up the flying purple dragon. This is important too. And this is the world's strongest movie. I can't remember. Gohan wants to help save Piccolo in that movie too, but Goku in this situation actually does have a bit of a say. He actually doesn't let Gohan get involved. He does it on his own. So that's kind of the reverse of what happens with the Namekian saga a little bit, right? Or in the hospital scene. There's that, right? There's Goku zooming out to fight Dr. Milo, whatever the fuck, and find Master Roshi and Bulma, and Gohan sneaks into that situation to get involved. And Goku's kind of just like, you know, he's just kind of observing the situation to see what his boy can do. But I'm sure he obviously doesn't want his kid to be in danger. A bad parent would not care if their child was in danger, in harm's way. But Goku does care. Like, when he recognizes that this is dangerous for his kid, he always verbalizes it. A good parent would do that. Yes, any good parent on Earth would do that. So, but let's talk about Icarus. The dragon. Who enables that dragon? Who thinks it's good for Gohan to have a pet? Is it Chi-Chi or is it Goku? Because I don't remember Chi-Chi being nice about Icarus. Yeah, in the Tree of Might movie, Goku sees no problem with Gohan having Icarus. Again, another checkpoint for being a good parent. So that does matter, yes. Like, giving your kids pets if you have no allergies or anything like that, this is something that anybody on Earth can relate with, I'm sure, who have pets. That's a good thing for your kids. It's a good thing for your kids. It is, yeah. Like, he doesn't tell Icarus, and Gohan that he can live, but he helps Gohan, like, find Icarus a place to live, like a little cave, and he helps him feed him and stuff, like all that jazz. He does. He gets involved. And Gohan, is incredibly gentle with animals because of Goku. Goku treats all life sacredly, gently. Yes, it's like, yeah, like, you can't tell me this man's a bad father when he teaches his kids how to be gentle with animals. That's one thing he definitely did a good job with. He did that. Chi-Chi had no say in that sort of, like, topic. No, like, Goku is the example when it comes to being gentle with animals, not Chi-Chi. That, you really mean to tell me that's a bad... Are you fucking kidding me? If you're an animal lover, there ain't no way in goddamn hell you actually believe that... No, that's ass backwards fucking twisted. Like, if you're an animal lover and you have kids, it is without a mind's goddamn doubt that you're going to teach your kids to be gentle with animals, and that's something I think you can appreciate about Goku's character. Nothing else needs to be said about that. My god, this video really feels like a no-brainer. I feel like I shouldn't have to make this, but here we are. Oh my god. Okay, so Icarus isn't part of Gohan's life, right? There's that. Then there's Lord Slug. Goku and Gohan don't really have a lot of moments in that movie, but again, there he is trying to save his son's life a few times. Same thing with Tree and Might. Tree, yeah, with Turles, of course, that's right, yeah. And then when Gohan turns into a giant ape, he tries to reach to him, he tries to help him out. I remember that. And then in Cooler's Revenge, yes, he does tell Gohan. I realize that the only times Goku really does tell Gohan to get involved in something that might be questionably dangerous is when he's completely out of commission. He saves Gohan's life in Cooler's Revenge from Cooler. You know what I mean? He takes a bullet for his kid. He does. There you go. Another fucking good example. When like Cooler shoots that death beam at him, he gets hit in the back, and then there's that scene. And then he tells Gohan to go to Korin's tower. Maybe Krillin told him. Someone told him, but they just told him to do it very carefully, obviously, to be smart about it. Yeah. So there's that scene. Granted, Krillin could have done it, I guess, but then Gohan would be left defenseless with Goku. I don't know. I think that situation made sense to me. It did. What other choice do they really have, right? Like, it made sense to me with that kind of situation. You have to keep that in mind. Like, anytime you want to be a harsh judge on these characters, you have to remember, what would you do and what decision do they really have? Like, they really have no choice at all. Like, in these kind of situations, they use Gohan as a last resort, not as a fucking shield or anything like that. Like, it's not like that. Like, they care about him, obviously. And I'm saying they because I'm involving Krillin, Piccolo, and the others too. Like, Piccolo might have thought of using Gohan as a shield at first, but he bonded with him. He figured out that he's a human being and everything, and he became his best friend. All that jazz, right? All that happened. So, yeah, which is very beautiful. So, there's that too. I don't know if I'm going to bring up any more examples from the movies, but I think I've made my case with that. With Icarus and everything, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So, when Goku becomes a Super Saiyan for the first time, he tells Gohan to get the hell out of there, because Krillin, Frieza just killed, for all Goku knows, Piccolo, and he definitely killed Krillin. 100%. Krillin's dead. And he was in Frieza in the original story says he's gonna kill Gohan next. Right, and so that's when we get that iconic scene of Goku transforming into a Super Saiyan for the very first time, with Frieza killing his best friend, and the next Frieza saying he's gonna kill his son next. I think that'd be enough to anger anybody to kick someone's ass. Again, the story I told earlier about the dude that killed his guys in Texas, right? So now there's something else I want to talk about Goku's character. This isn't just defending him of being a quote unquote good father, or basically as good as they come, but no, just him being a righteous fighter and a good hero. So there's memes, I've seen memes about, and people blowing Goku's character out of proportion, saying things like he would let a villain go full power, he would help them in any kind of way, even if it's like barbaric or savage. Like, for example, he would help Thanos get all the Infinity Stones. He wouldn't do it blindly. If Goku knew Thanos was like a legitimate threat, he wouldn't hurt others to... Maybe he would. I'm not going to deny the fact that maybe Goku would do it, but if it meant getting others hurt, and it meant that the planet would be in danger, I don't think he would do it. No. He didn't really get to fight Cell at first, because Cell comes to mind when it comes to this example for me. Vegeta's the one that inherently enables Cell to become more powerful and perfect, not Goku. Goku was trying everything he could to stop that monster, okay? But then there's the Frieza example. So let's go back to Frieza, right? He lets Frieza go full power. You have to remember, this isn't because he wanted Frieza to be more of a threat or anything like that. He hated Frieza at this point in the story. I'm pretty sure he does hate Frieza so much that he wanted to prove to the man that, I'm better than you, no matter how powerful you are. Like, he wanted to teach Frieza basically what he was taught, that no matter how strong you think you are, there's always going to be someone better. And I find it surprising that Goku doesn't, tries to let Frieza live a few times during this fight. I thought for sure he wanted the man dead, but then if you remember what happened with Nappa, after Nappa killed everybody, he even let Nappa live. So, yeah, it's just how he is, right? So, yeah, I don't know if I fully agree with that opinion. I mean, again, if it meant his friends and family in the Earth were in danger, Goku would not do it, no. And there's really no example of that in the main manga storyline of saying if I'm right or not. But if you just judge it by his character and how he is, the man is stressed out during most of Z because his friends and family and planet are constantly at threat by some kind of evil alien monster creature thing, right? Like something really powerful comes up and tries to destroy everything. It's constantly happening throughout the story of Z. Yes, it makes the story good and interesting. The formula works, even if it's repeated. It does work, and each villain's unique in their own way, in my opinion. But it's still, though, it is stressful for Goku. I can completely, and the other characters too, not just Goku. No, I know Piccolo and Gohan, Krillin, the others. Yeah, everyone's under stress. Goku's doing his best that he can to make sure that he can stop these foes, right? So, if Goku didn't have the heart virus when Imperfect Cell showed up, Imperfect Cell, before he absorbed 17 and 18, I bet you anything if Goku fought Cell as first form, he would just want Cell to fight him at his current best. He wouldn't let Cell absorb 2 souls to become stronger. Goku would say something along the lines of, "That's not right. I'm not gonna let you do that." He's like, "I want to fight you how you are now, like at your most powerful." I can see that happening. I can see Goku beckoning Imperfect Cell to show what he's made of, just the way he is. I think that would make more sense for his character than him allowing him to absorb the androids, like Vegeta did, because Vegeta doesn't really care for life the same way Goku does. And remember, Goku caring for life is a part of his psyche. I already touched on that early in this video. I literally just said it moments ago. That's a part of him. Yes, the androids might be the villains, but I think Goku's wise enough to know that they're not that evil, and they definitely don't deserve to get absorbed by Cell. They wouldn't want that. So, let's say he was involved with the 17th fight instead of Piccolo, right? Or he was there, right, in that situation. He was strong enough to be able to handle Cell. I don't know. Let's just say he was. Alright, just for the sake of entertaining what I'm talking about. Like, yes, he wouldn't allow it. No, he wouldn't. No. I'm trying to think of any of the movies show an example of what I'm talking about. No, not really. I think Broly might be a good example of this. Original Z Broly. What am I talking about? He was a really powerful dude, overwhelmingly strong. And our heroes were trying to do everything they could at the time to defeat him. They were trying to avoid him from getting stronger. At the end of the film, our heroes give Goku his energy to try to defeat Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. That's exactly what happens. And again, another example of Goku trying to defeat a massive threat the best he can without them getting any stronger, without them really wanting to because they're violent evil, actually is Frieza before Super Saiyan. He tried everything he could to defeat Frieza before he could do any more damage to his friends and family. Before Krillin was killed. Like, the Spirit Bomb was his ultimate go-to move to defeat, what's his name? Frieza. And again, another strong point to debunk this entire thought that Goku would allow his enemies to get stronger. He would let people he cares about, in harm's way to get stronger because people actually believe that bullshit, is Majin Buu himself. Goku understands and knows that Majin Buu needs to absorb others to get stronger. And what happens when he fights Kid Buu? Does he ask Kid Buu to absorb the people around him to get stronger? No, he fights him as he is, pure and simple. In his purest evil form, in Goku's purest good form. That's how it happens. Do I need to say anything else about that? No, I don't. So that, my friends, is a very dumb viewpoint on the character because it's not even who he is. Christ almighty. So Goku, trying to be the good person that he is during the fight with Frieza, is doing his best to keep himself together. And even though he's, influenced by rage, and he's basically rage-fueled, and it's completely reasonable and fair, he's also trying to teach Frieza. He's trying to teach him. He's trying to help him learn, that his way is just not right and all that jazz. That's definitely part of their fight. It is. And at the end of it, after he regretfully kills Frieza, I mean, you can tell that he has this face of... I love that people touched on that, because it did create a lot of, buzz in the Dragon Ball community. When I don't remember what video it was, but somebody pointed out that facial expression Goku makes in the manga after he believes he killed Frieza. And then while Frieza lives, he looks, yeah, no, he doesn't look happy about it. I'm not saying he's okay with Frieza living because of how Frieza is. He feels that way because he he can't believe he failed somebody. Like, Goku his whole life believed that anyone can possibly change into a better person. This is the first true psychopathic villain he's fighting, besides King Piccolo. King Piccolo, I guess you could also count, but, Piccolo Jr. basically is King Piccolo again, so even he kind of changed, so it doesn't really count. But Frieza, he's just... It doesn't count. That's besides the point. Frieza, he spent a lot of time with this foe, and he was hoping that, it would have a happy ending, but it didn't. And so... Or at least an ending that could resolve. I mean, I'm guessing he could forgive Frieza for permanently killing his best friend, which is crazy, but maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. I don't know what Goku was hoping for here, but it wasn't going to work out, Chief, no matter what he tried, right? So now comes this next section in the story when all of his friends and family think he's dead, but he's not, and that they're going to use the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring him back. And then this little moment in the story hasn't been shed on too much for Goku's character or decisions for being like, I'm not ready to come home yet. But I'm sure there's fans out there who are going to be like, oh, see, he's a bad guy. He wants to be away from his family. No. Again, you have to put this through Goku's perspective. You have to give this some deep thought before you just jump down the man's throat. They don't touch on this in the story, but this is kind of what I first picked up on when I first watched the show and saw this scene. Goku literally just unlocked Super Saiyan, a form not seen in thousands of years, and not only that, he is fucking pissed. Like, he can barely hold on to who he is. And Master Roshi says that earlier in the show. In the English dub, yes, but still, it is touched on. He wants to be away from his friends and family for now because he potentially believes he could be a danger to them and himself. He's trying to figure out who he is now. He needs time to process that. And that's fair. Plus, the man just lost his best friend. Like, a lot of shit happened on Namek. A lot of shit. I can understand Goku needing his space to process it through, and to not only that, he needs to figure out his new skills and abilities. That's exactly what he says. He says he's not ready to come home yet because... Well, actually, also, he was on Yardra for a while at the time. It's also true. So, I legitimately hardly believe he just hasn't fully perfected Ultra Instinct yet. That's part of why he wasn't ready, which is fair. That's a fair point. That's a very handy move that will come to benefit the main story, and it does. He was staying on Yardrat to basically be more beneficial to the people he cares about and himself. That's why he wasn't ready to return yet. He doesn't say he's not coming back for good. If he was abandoning his friends and family, he would be like, I'm not ever returning to Earth. Like, he wouldn't say he's not ready to come home yet. Keyword here is yet. He would say that he's just not going to come home. So, like, fuck off, Like, Jesus Christ. Again, you got to put yourself in his shoes. So there's that scene, right? And yeah, and it pays off, Ultra Instinct is a nifty move in Dragon Ball. And not only that, Goku's able to harness the power of Super Saiyan willingly. He learns all that on Yardrat. He does. I guess in like a real world normal sense, you could think of it this way. Like maybe your dad or your mom, but possibly your dad, right? Especially back in the 80s and 90s, goes on a business trip to get a big promotion with his career. You're not gonna see that as, oh man, my dad fucking abandoned the family. He's just gone for a little while, and then when Goku's gone for practically a year. I know, but this is just for the sake of trying to normalize it. Just hear me out. And yeah, like, he comes back and he's like he's better at his job now. He's got work experience, all that jazz. He's a mentally stronger guy now, I guess you could say. I don't know. Just the business trip was super beneficial. Think of it like that, right? And does it benefit your family in the long run? 110%. That's what's like. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Think of it like that with Goku going on Yardrat and trying to perfect his skills. Yes, it sucks that he was gone for so long, but I explained earlier why that was. Give the man a break. He just experienced something new that he has no idea what the first thing about. No Saiyan does. No Earthling does. No one does. No one has seen Super Saiyan in thousands of years at that point in the story. So it's like, give the guy all the time he needs. Like, this is a huge deal, and it was treated as such. Okay, now I think we can finally move on to everyone's favorite finger-pointing moment in the story of Goku being a bad parent, or a bad guy, or a bad whatever. The Cell Game Saga stuff. So, okay, well, we're going to get to the Cell Games, because I got to start with the Android Saga, right? Credit where credit is due. And Goku finally does return from Yardra and Earth. This is when Future Trunks gets his amazingly badass debut. One of the best characters in the whole story. One of my favorite characters for sure. Like I said, I love all the characters. And these characters will get their videos. Like this, I'm not just doing this for Goku. Like I want to talk about Vegeta and why he's so great and others. Vegeta has a lot of great videos by him already. But I still think he's worth talking about. And Gohan, of course, and Krillin and the others. Yes, I want to give them videos. Actually, Krillin deserves a big defense video for sure. He does. But we'll get to Krillin later on. Because he is like, you know, one of the bravest Z fighters, even though if you may realize it or not, he really is, because dude's always putting his life on the line too. Okay, Goku's back to Earth, and he says hi to his friends and family. As soon as Future Trunks leaves and everything, he talks to him, realizes he's gonna die in 3 years, and he hears a troubling story about, yeah, okay, so you all know what happens with that, right? I mean, all this is familiar with the story. I don't know if I need to go over Future Trunks and Goku, but you know, that was a cool moment, you know, when they test each other's powers and everything. And Future Trunks, he immediately thinks of Goku as a great hero. Now, why would he think that? If this guy is so terrible like y'all think it is, who is like one of the few characters who knows Goku like kind of the best and trusts him with their life? Bulma. Bulma has known Goku for a very long time, and Trunks got his impression on Goku from her. Right? Now remember, yes, it's, you know, pretty much on the nose that Bulma had a crush on Goku. Even Future Bulma did. Yes, I understand that. You know, that is relevant to the story, which means that there is some biasism. And of course, I am, for one, also have a huge bias on Goku, as you can tell. But I'm still, biased or not, what I'm talking about is still factual. I mean, what I'm saying is still true. Okay, this all still I just covered the main story. That should be more than enough to show and tell you that he might not be what you think he is. Biasism be damned. I'm just saying. But, you know, yeah, I care about this guy a lot, obviously. So Bulma does too. So Future Trunks does have a bit of a, you know, a positive look on Goku already. I don't know. It's not super relevant maybe to what I'm talking about, but I think it kind of is. Like, you have two characters I can think of already that will defend this man in the main canon, at least. Future Trunks and Future Bulma, right? So, and Gohan definitely would, and so would Chi-Chi and Master Roshi. All the characters would defend Goku. They really would. Like, none of these characters would ever talk shit about him. The only one I can think of is Vegeta, and it'd just be for some, like, dumb personal bullshit that nobody would really care about, except for him. At that time in the story, I'm saying. At that time in the story. Maybe Piccolo would care to some degree, but, you know, I'm just saying. And Goku probably would too. But, okay. Anyways, yeah. So there's that for you. And then when he leaves, and he tells him about the androids, Goku needs to train for 3 years, and he spends 3 years of training with Piccolo and Gohan, and this is how, it's off screen, we don't see any of it, but like, this gets sidelined, right, a lot. Nobody ever mentions that Goku spends 3 years with Gohan. Like, nobody ever talks about that, but he does. 3 whole years with his boy, like, and with his family in general, and then Piccolo's involved too, yes. And then they try to go get cars, and that's super fun as well. In the anime, they try to go get their license. I don't know, like that. I just think, I don't know. Obviously, you guys out there who don't get it. But hey, you know, 3 years with your kid, would you call that a bad parent? When, yes, I know they're. And again, we need to talk about the fighting thing. Okay, now Goku. What do I mean by that? About Gohan and his perspective on fighting. A lot of people out there get it, that Gohan hates fighting, but I don't know if anyone's ever really mentioned this, but I think Gohan generally likes to train with Piccolo and Goku. I think he does. I think he enjoys that because he's doing it with people that he admires and looks up to and loves. That's why I think. I don't know if he literally hates the act of like moving his body around or anything like that. No, I don't think so. No, because that still technically counts as fighting. But he's fighting with people that won't really hurt him. He's fighting with people that he can trust, that they can trust him. It's a bonding experience, right? And to be fair, on Goku's like level, to be fair through his perspective, it's one of the only few ways he knows how to bond with Gohan, right? Like, it's all that Goku has ever known. You have to, again, put yourself in his shoes and through his perspective. Goku has always seen martial arts and fighting as a positive experience, and you would know that if you've read or watched the original Dragon Ball story with his upbringing, right? Like the universal level threat stuff doesn't really happen until Z, and that's kind of it. Like, even into Super, it's not as, well, yes, but it's not really like a villain they're up against. Like, really, the only time they have to fight like a monster, someone who actually like wants to like destroy shit, but for like, you know, malicious reasons, for like evil intent, is basically during Z. It is. Like, there really aren't a lot of villains like that in Super. Really, the only one is Zamasu. He's really the only one. Jiren's a hero. Beerus is just doing his job, right? And then in Dragon Ball, really the only two major threats is the Red Ribbon Army and King Piccolo. That's literally all there really is in the original Dragon Ball. Pilaf is a threat too, but he's just a goofy guy, right? He's not really a threat. He's just trying to be king of the world. And he can do that without the Dragon Balls if he gets into politics, but, you know, he wants to rule the world, right? Of course, Dragon Ball already has a king of the world, the King Fairy guy, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say here. Like, Goku, for the most part, he did not have the same upbringing as Gohan, right? His upbringing wasn't as traumatic. He wasn't constantly getting killed or beat up by, like, foes. But he didn't really register that for Gohan. He generally believed that Gohan loved to fight because he saw Gohan intending to be involved with a dangerous situation. When Goku's like, you don't want to be involved with this, son, he's like, get away from this. This is dangerous. Let me handle it. But Gohan on his own was like, he wants to help. So of course Goku's gonna think maybe my boy loves to fight without thinking twice about it because he sees that Gohan wants to get involved. You know, and again, every parent on Earth can make a mistake like this. Like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna 100% always know your kid. You can be the best dad or mom in the world, and there's things about your kids that you may never know. And that's a very relatable human thing. Okay? So I think it's not fair to, like, slander, criticize, attack Goku for not 100% understanding his son. He still loves him. He still wants to spend time with him. And later on in Dragon Ball Super, he even tells him sorry he has to be involved with fighting again. Like, that's a big deal. Like, how is it not enough? How do we get the most iconic anime protagonist hero of all time getting attacked like this on the internet? I just don't fucking understand it. It blows my mind that Goku gets as much a slander and shit that he does. Even Akira Toriyama, I think, kind of cared towards it a little bit in some interviews. He said some questionable things about Goku. Like, someone asked him, what if the whole world was more like Goku? He was kind of like, oh, geez, it's like, that'd be a dangerous place. But I think he was, you know, being tongue-in-cheek with that a little bit. I think he was just joking. I don't think he really... Yeah, of course, it's funny. It's a funny question, a funny answer. So that's a little different. But even he says something along the lines of Goku not being the best dad. I'm like, you wrote the character. Like, what the fuck? Defend him, man. Like, he's not a bad father or a bad... He's really not. He's not a bad guy either. I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, it's just weird. And it's sad, but that's life. So that's why I'm making this video. Okay, so I am jumping all over the place a little bit, but, you know. I'm just saying. Like, I think everything I'm mentioning here is relevant. Like, I'm trying to leave no stone unturned, like I said. Yeah, and we'll get more to that later on. I should just focus on the Cell Saga. So, the androids show up. Goku gets his heart virus. But then, see, now this is the first time in the series that Gohan is voluntarily involved in fighting a universal level threat. Now, Goku and the others, to be fair, though, didn't take the androids as seriously as they could have, but they understood that they were stronger than Frieza. They knew that. So I guess they did everything that they knew that they had to do for it. They were stronger than they were before, so they figured, hey, you know, we're gonna be fine. It's that like world martial arts champion mentality kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Goku at this point in the story thinks he's number one under the sun. He thinks no one else is stronger than him since he just bested Frieza, the most threatening villain ever in the universe has ever seen, the galaxy's ever known. So he's believing he's number one right now, right? So that's probably why Goku didn't take his power as seriously as he could have during this time. But then, yeah, you know, he does pretty well against Android 19 until his heart virus attacks him, sure. But imagine if he had to fight 17 or 18, he would be screwed. Vegeta was debatably stronger than him at this point in the story, and he barely handled 18. 18 broke his arm, for crying out loud. So this is probably one of those few times when I might give you a pass on saying Goku did something wrong. And we're going to get into that, which is fine. Because, you know, like I said, the man's not perfect, but this is about defending him at the same time. So, he voluntarily gets Gohan involved with the androids. That's... Okay, so before this arc, Goku has tried everything he could to keep Gohan away from danger. Everything he could before this arc. He did everything he could in his power, okay, to keep Gohan away from any dangerous situation. Now he's voluntarily letting Gohan get involved. Yikes. So that is questionable. But if y'all want to be out there and point the finger at Piccolo being the best father versus Goku, you have to remember Piccolo is just as guilty. He is also involving Gohan. He's also okay with Gohan getting involved. In fact, let's rewind the clock to before when Goku landed back on Earth. When Frieza and his father are coming in, Gohan and Krillin go zooming off to the battle scene, and there's Piccolo talking to Gohan casually. He doesn't tell Gohan to leave. He doesn't tell Gohan to get out of here. You know, Frieza's gonna kill you. No, he's just cool with Gohan being there. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the fucking Piccolo being a better father than Goku mentality shit is shit. It's not accurate. It's not true. Like, he's just as guilty in the main story at times. Like, both Goku and Piccolo are the quote-unquote father figures of, you know what I mean? If you're, okay, they're there for Gohan, but they're also both just as guilty getting Gohan involved in dangerous situations past the Frieza saga. In fact, Piccolo is more of a guilty candidate than Goku is with before the Android saga. Like, for sure he is. Oh yeah, you know, he didn't tell Gohan to fight Frieza or anything, but you know, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Okay, so I don't know, you gotta get the characters passes. I'm just saying, like, I feel like Goku gets a lot of shit when other characters are just as guilty. That's incredibly fair, relevant to say, because it's true. It's like, what the fuck? Like, Vegeta, Piccolo, and they're just as guilty as Goku is about this kind of stuff. So it's like, what the fuck? Anyways, yeah, no, but, you know, I digress. So, but then again, you know, at the same time, these are universal powerful characters, like super powerful space warriors. Like, they, anything kind of goes, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Their rules of things aren't the same as ours, you know? So Goku and Piccolo understand. They get it. They know that Gohan is full of incredible powerful potential, and that now he has proper training, he can handle his own. You remember though, Goku's upbringing, it was all about training for fun, like fighting for martial arts tournaments and whatnot. He barely had to fight a threat. It was just King Piccolo, and that was a big deal for Goku. It was, because Krillin got killed too at that time. And really, yeah, it was really just Demon King Piccolo. He handled the Red Ribbon Army no problem, but he knew that they were pretty evil guys. Gohan is out there constantly close to death. Like, he got his neck broken, you know, he got knocked out a couple times. Like, Frieza's curb stomping his fucking head, you know, Nappa almost stomps on his brain. Yeah, like, that never happened in Dragon Ball to Goku. Like, he never experienced anything as traumatic as that. And Goku hasn't fully seen that. And even if he hasn't really had the time to stop and register it. And it's like, yeah, you don't think that Goku could have stopped to ask Gohan during the 3 years of training if he likes this or not. He doesn't, but I guess because they're just focused on the mission. Not even Piccolo stops and thinks about it. Yet, for some reason, he pieces it together during the Cell games. How does Piccolo realize it but not Goku? I don't get that, but it's fine. Anyways, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's later on. So now Gohan is involved with the androids, right? Piccolo, but they're not a serious threat to Gohan, at least. You know, because he's just a kid. I'm not sure if they're going to really care towards him as much as the others. Shiro just wants his revenge on Goku anyways, and the others too a little bit, but Gohan is like is a low priority for him at the moment, right? For the androids. I would say Gohan's definitely a low priority for the villains. So, he has a heart virus, he has to go, Vegeta shows up, saves the day, and then Goku, we're going to fast forward to Goku recovers from the heart virus. You know, imperfect cells are a thing right now. He's around absorbing people. Piccolo fused with Kami. All that jazz happened. And so now we're there. And then when Goku gets better, he immediately checks out his wife. He immediately checks, they all check on him. Master Roshi, he leaves. He goes sees Gohan. They have a little father-son moment. Krillin gives Goku a big hug because he's happy he's okay. He's going to make it. And then, of course, this entire, from here on out, it's Goku and Gohan, father and son, master and pupil from this point forward in the Cell saga, in the Android saga. So if circumstances were different, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, but like, Gohan never expresses that he hates fighting, to be fair, to his dad. He never tells him. He hates fighting. I don't know why he doesn't tell him. Maybe he thinks it would break Goku's heart. Maybe Gohan's conscious enough to realize that if he tells Goku or his dad that he doesn't like fighting, it would like upset him, but not make him angry. I just think Goku would just be sad. Like that's a bummer, you know. But Gohan also knows he is vital to the situation. He knows that he can be a big help, because Goku has also observed before that Gohan wants to help. He wants to volunteer and fight. Ah, boy. And I guess I can get it to some degree of why that you might think that makes Goku a bad father. He's enabling his son to be involved with these dangerous situations. You could say that, sure. But he's also the strongest fucking character in the series. Gohan is the most powerful character in the series. Is that relevant, though? Yes, 110%. It is relevant that Gohan is the most strongest fighter in Dragon Ball Z. That he's the most powerful character in the Z story. It is relevant, yes. Even though if Goku and Vegeta and Trunks all unlock Super Saiyan before he does, it doesn't change the fact that he's still potentially the most powerful character, and Goku definitely learns, understands, and recognizes that. And at this point in the story, you could argue that yes, he's using Gohan to do something that Gohan may not want to do, and that is sad. But at the same time, though, Goku's not really trying to think too hard about it. He's trying to spend time with his son as well. This is a tough one. It is, it gives some food for thought. Like, I don't know if I can give you a pass in saying Goku's a bad father or not during this point in the story. I don't know. You have to remember, though, during this time, though, Vegeta wants nothing to do with his future son. So don't you dare call that man a good dad. Because Vegeta is like, fuck Trunks at every chance he can until after the time chamber stuff, yes. But for the first, well, no, he's not like fuck Trunks. He's mostly just like trying to focus on like what he needs to do for himself. He doesn't really have time to think about it. So there's that for him. I don't know, like I said, these characters, they're not perfect. I didn't say that they were. I just think Goku has more good people / good person / dad / character points than he does bad. I think he does for sure. But let's try to focus on this point, sorry, because this is where things get kind of hairy and tricky, and I understand completely. He does ask Gohan to train with him in the time chamber for a year after Vegeta and Trunks get out of there. And, oh yeah, that's right, we gotta talk about the punch. You might not know what I mean, but Piccolo is close to death. He's fighting Imperfect Cell. And Gohan is as up at Kami's lookout, watching the fight with his dad. They're both able to see it through just mental training, I guess. I don't know. They're just both able to see what's going on down there. Because I think it has to do with Kami's. Oh my god, not Kami. Kami's lookout. I think the lookout itself gives you like the ability to see what's going down on Earth. Because you don't really see that again later on with these characters. Not really to like actually like visualize like what's happening. But because Gohan, there's no way in hell that Gohan's strong enough to actually do that on his own. In the story, I do think it just has with Kami's lookout. They don't really touch on like how they're able to see the fight. But yeah, I don't know if they can see it. I think maybe they can just feel it, but I'm pretty sure they can, because like when you see Piccolo's like half his torso get blown up by Cell, Gohan freaks the fuck out, like, and rightfully so, because that's his buddy, it's his friend getting killed, his mentor. So Goku punches Gohan down because he's trying to save his life. Like if Gohan had flown off and fought Cell, he would have gotten killed, and that's what he tells him. And he tells him he's sorry for doing that. Like Goku did not like having to do that. He told his son, I am sorry for punching you. He may have done it, and it sucks he did it, but at least he fucking said he was sorry. That does count for something, because he cares about his kid. I'm just saying, it's the basics. Like, if you love your child, if you want the best for them, and if you actively look out for them, you are a good parent. And Goku does follow those traits so far, from the very beginning of the story. Yes, he's constantly, like I said earlier, he's constantly trying to get Gohan out of harm's way, and he was absolutely, he may not have been fine with not being able to train with Gohan with martial arts early on in the story, but at least he wasn't in Chi-Chi's way of doing what she wanted to do for his kid. And he may have had the chance to do that with him anyways. Like, I don't know. Like, if Gohan wasn't dealing with such dangerous situations, he may have actually have a deep fondness and like for fighting in martial arts. I have no idea if he would have or wouldn't have. Maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't have turned out that way. I don't know. Jesus Louises. So if you made it this far in the video so far, I gotta say thank you, which I should have said earlier. Now let's carry on to what we're talking about with Dragon Ball Z, Gohan, and Goku. So Goku just really wanted to spend time with his son, but he also recognized and understood that his son was now okay. So let's actually try to, for this to work, we have to try to understand what Goku might be thinking and feeling during all this. Okay, I don't know if Goku believes that he's going to be enough to defeat Cell yet or not. But you also have to put that into perspective. He also just came back from the brink of death with the heart virus. This man literally just survived almost dying. I think at that moment, when Goku recovered from the heart virus, he had foresight and knowing that he's not going to be around forever. He might die soon. Okay, that's a big theme during the Cell Saga, is that Goku has said on like more than one occasion that he's not going to be around forever. That's also a big part of why he's doing this. He's doing it. It may not be fully fair to Gohan, and I understand that, but Gohan's not a normal kid. Okay, if he was a normal kid, it wouldn't be the same, but he's not. Goku is trying to teach his son that he has got to pick up that torch and become Earth's newest defender without him, and Goku's right. I'm sorry, but he is right about that. It's kind of harsh. I'm not going to deny that. I'm going to try to be a little bit sympathetic or empathetic to Gohan as well on that. I'm trying to be. It is kind of harsh. Maybe you could argue that might be a little cruel. You could argue that it's not entirely fair for Gohan, but it doesn't have to be all like, hellish for Gohan's life. There isn't always going to be a universal threat, threatening the, everything, the galaxy, the Earth, whatever it is, but something might come along, and Goku just wants Gohan to be prepared. That to me, I think is fair. It's like being a champion, I guess, right? In like a sport, and your dad is like, you should still keep up with that and like train, even though if you're number one now. You don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do it all the time, but it's something to at least think about and keep in touch with. Think of it like that. Like, does that make them a bad parent? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it does. But it's kind of like that same idea. Like, that's all that Goku's trying to do. He's not stopping and thinking whether he's doing is right or wrong. He's focused on the mission, which is fair. There's a fucking scariest bugman out there absorbing everybody on Earth. Like, when you want someone to have your back in that kind of situation, I think you would. I don't think you would stop and think, oh, geez, I got a good dare or not. No, you want them to help you save the world. You want, like, what, Jesus Criminy. I'm just saying. Like, it's not fully fair to Gohan. I will say that. And I think Goku, he definitely recognizes it. But during these events, he doesn't have time to stop and think about it because it's stressful. And then there's the stuff after the time chamber, which we're going to get to that in just a moment. We will. The 9 days of peace. We're going to get to that. Because I recently saw a very important perspective on that I never thought of in my life that I need to mention in this video. I read it somewhere. I think it was in a TikTok video, maybe it was in a YouTube video. I read it someone, or maybe it was a Facebook post. I read someone's comment on that basically it was for Gohan, not for Goku so much. And we're going to get into that later on of why he did that. So okay. So the time chamber works one day in the real world is a year inside that dimension. And so he decided to spend it with his boy Gohan. And they didn't train hard all the time. No, they took breaks. They rested. But Goku even told Gohan this is not a vacation. But he treated the training as perfectly as he could. And Gohan benefited the most. He got the biggest power boost he ever could have imagined in his life training with his dad because his dad knew what he was doing, right? More so than Piccolo or Vegeta ever would have known. Piccolo and Vegeta are way too hard on themselves and their bodies when it comes to training. They're way too harsh. Goku knows how to like soften up a bit. Like, you don't need to be so hard. Just do it at a normal pace and it'll be fine. And it worked out beautifully for both of them. They became permanent Super Saiyans. Okay, well, not permanent. They can still revert back to their normal state. But they were able to transform into a Super Saiyan and have it feel not like a toll in their body, like it felt natural to them, like it doesn't. Yeah, they were able to go Super Saiyan 24/7 even when they were sleeping. That was awesome. Now, if only we could have that with fusion. I this is a bit of a side tangent, I know, side note, side idea, but I really want to see Vegeta and Goku or any characters learn how to fuse and defuse at will instead of there being a time limit. I mean, if they can do a Super Saiyan, then why not with fusion, right? I'm just saying. Okay, anyways, focusing on the main story. So at that point, Goku knew that Gohan was gonna be the one to defeat Cell. Now, again, I get that. I get this is where everyone gets the bad dad stuff from with Goku. It's mostly the Android Saga stuff, and like I said, I can understand it to a certain degree, but I don't know if I can fully. I'm trying to like. Damn, it's kind of tough because it's like, can you really though go that far with this character's point? Because it's like, you have to understand the Earth is in jeopardy right now, and his little boy is the only one that can save it. What would you do? Right? Like, what would you do if you were Goku in that situation? What if you had his knowledge and his experience? What if you took martial arts as seriously as he did? What the fuck would you have done? Right? And you're going to say something like, oh, I would have trained that my ass off in that time chamber to make sure I was strong enough. Like, no, Goku knew what he was doing. They were stronger than any other character in that point in the story. They were stronger than Vegeta, Piccolo, Trunks. Gohan and Goku were the strongest characters at that point in the story. They did everything they could. And you have to remember, Goku tried his damnness to defeat Cell. He tried to prevent Gohan from fighting Cell. He did everything he could to prevent his son from fighting Cell. That is a big deal, guys. Like, that doesn't get talked about enough, but he did. He absolutely did. So, when Goku emerges from the time chamber, he, tells everybody not to worry, that they'll figure it out. And he knows his boy is the secret weapon in this. He knows he's the one able to do it. Right, now we're going to get to everyone's favorite fucking moment that they love to talk about. The sense-to-be moment with Cell. We're creeping up to that moment. So now... Okay, well, no, actually, let's talk about the 9 days at peace. I forgot. Okay, so we need to talk about that first. So Goku decides that after they were done in the time chamber, it was important for them to have some time to themselves. And Trunks and Vegeta and Piccolo and we're all like, wait a minute, Goku, don't you want to keep using the time chamber? You have time to get stronger in there. You have time. He's like, nope. He's like, that's that. And Goku was right about this. He said being in there is just way too much for you mentally and physically. And he's right. Like it's a white void. Imagine seeing nothing but white for a whole year. You go insane. It would be too much. It'd be too much. It would be, and that's why Goku has got the mental capacity to handle it. Seriously, Goku's fucking smarter than you might think he is, or he's more mentally well put together than you might think he is. I'm not going to deny that he is a bit of an adult, but or whatever you want to think of him. But he's a genius when it comes to your body and in training and martial arts and all that stuff. He is like. You can see it. It's right there in the story. Like, geez Louise. Anyways, yeah. So, even Vegeta has said Kakarot's a genius when it comes to combat because he is. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay. So why I think Goku decided to spend 9 days with his family is because I think Goku knew he was going to die soon. I do think that was a part of why he did it. I think Goku knew that his time was coming. I don't know. I don't think Goku for sure knew it. I just think he had a sense. I think Goku had a feeling that maybe he wasn't going to make it out of this one. He didn't know for sure. I'm pretty sure Goku also thought that he was going to make it. But I think they never touch on this. This is just my speculation. Okay, this is just me thinking this. Remember at the beginning of Z, when Kami was talking to Mr. Popo and he's like, me and Piccolo are going to die in a year's time. I know it's going to happen. I think this is similar to that. I think Goku kind of had that insight after his wildfire situation. I really do think so. I could be wrong. They never touch on it, whether Goku knew or not. But you kind of get that sense when you're like watching it or like just seeing like how he is. You kind of get it. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. Maybe this is just me, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one out there that has picked up on that or felt that way. But I think Goku, again, just kind of knew. And I also think he did it for Gohan. I think he decided that this training is way too much for us, and it's too much for his son because he's just a kid, right? And he needs a break. And he thought spending time with your friends and family is so fucking important. And he also wanted Gohan to appreciate like just this peaceful life that they have together. I think he did it to help Gohan learn to protect what is sacred. Who tells Gohan that? Who tells Gohan? It is not a sin to fight for the right cause. Who says those exact words? That's right. It's Android 16, right before he goes Super Saiyan 2. Apologies for that, but yeah, this is why I love Dragon Ball so much because of how deep it gets. Right, you show and you tell in this kind of situation. Android 16 words reflect to Goku's actions earlier in the storyline. And okay, so there's all that. Right, they were spending 9 days of peace together, and Goku was also. Again, he wasn't super confident during that time. He told Krillin he's not sure if he can do it. He just wants Gohan and Chi-Chi to appreciate all the time they can before they have to fight Cell. And he even told Korin he's 100% sure. Goku knew he had a secret weapon in Gohan, but even Goku wasn't fully convinced that Gohan could be the one to defeat Cell. He did, again, you have to understand, Goku did literally everything he could. Yes, he could have spent like one more day in the time chamber, but maybe Goku really didn't know or believe that he could have done more. I don't know, because Goku knew he could have gone Super Saiyan 2 as well, like his son could have. He trained in Otherworld. So it's kind of weird, right? Like, why did he spend 7 years training in Otherworld then, but not in one more extra year in the time chamber? Like, I don't know. That's actually a good argument. I don't know, but look, I just think Goku just just trying to focus on what was going on here and now. I don't think he was thinking that far ahead, and I don't know if he was thinking if he could detain Super Saiyan 2 or not. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that Goku was trying his best to make sure that they could do everything they could to defeat Cell at this time. Then he'll figure out the rest later, and that's fair. That's normal. That's relatable. That's human. That's like to be focused on something else here and now because there's a huge stressful situation going on. Cell killing everybody and doing awful shit, and Goku just wants to appreciate his time in his life and his family and all that jazz. That makes him a good husband. That makes him a good father. That makes him a good man. That makes him a good person. It does. Yes, it does. It does. And yes, these are like points in the story that I really want to be expanding on more. But for the little we have, it's totally worth seeing and observing and everything. Okay. So now we go to the Cell games. Okay, everyone's favorite finger-pointing moment. We're finally there. Finally! 2 hours and 30 minutes later, you can finally have your fun in the sun with bashing this man, and I'm going to tell you off about it because it's fair too. I'm not the first YouTuber to make a video about this, about kind of quote-unquote defending a little bit about Goku's throwing the senzu bean to Cell. But, because, they do have good points, and we're going to touch on that. So, what is the first thing that happens during the Cell games? Well, okay, Mr. Saiyan tries to fight Cell, yes, but the first one to fight Cell is Goku. Does Goku do everything he can to try to defeat Cell? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now, here's something else. I'm talking about points that none of the characters really thought of, to be fair, right? Like, Goku not training harder in the Time Chamber could have helped him get Super Saiyan 2, sure. But here's another point. Goku could have talked to Cell about changing his ways. I think a part of why he didn't do that was because of his experiences with Frieza. And he doesn't really do it with Vegeta either, to be fair, or with Piccolo even. He doesn't really tell the villains to change their ways. I think the only time he really does that is with Moro during the Moro arc in the Super manga, and what's written from Toriyama. Yes, he doesn't tell. I don't think he tells Frieza to do it. No, but he does say something along the lines of it's a shame that you're as evil as you are. Which, of course, he wants these characters to be good, but, it's not going to happen. He accepts them for who they are. They are vile and they are evil. I would have loved for Cell to be a good guy, because here's the thing about Cell. He loves to fight like Goku does. And Vegeta. He has that Saiyan DNA in him. He loves the thrill of combat. So you have to remember, if Cell killed Vegeta, Goku, and the others, he would have had no one else to fight. Would Cell really want that? But again, I'm talking about things the characters probably didn't really think about at the time, which is fine, because no one's perfect. Like, sometimes you might not stop and realize something about yourself, right? And for all we know, Gohan might not have known that he didn't really like to fight until after his training with his dad. I don't know. Gohan never really expresses it until he fights Cell. Until he tells Cell he doesn't want to fight him. And Cell says you sound like your dad, but Goku has never told Cell he doesn't want to fight him. So I don't know. But yeah, maybe Gohan doesn't fully realize it yet. Maybe Piccolo didn't pick up on it until this point in the story. That's why he tells Goku this. I have no idea. You guys have to remember, no one's perfect. The characters, who knows, right? I don't know. But anyways, Goku does try everything. He blows up Cell's upper half, for crying out loud, thinking that's going to kill him. Goku tried to kill Cell because he knew Cell was evil. He tried to kill him because he wanted Cell to get the fuck out of here, He was trying everything he could again to keep Gohan out of harm's way, even when he knew Gohan could have probably been strong enough to defeat Cell. Even Goku knowing that Gohan was going to be the one to do it, he still tried everything he could to make sure Gohan didn't have to. That right there should give Goku Father of the Year award. I'm sorry, but I'm serious. Even he knew his own boy was capable of being the hero, of defeating this vile threat that could kill his friends, his family, the planet he lives on, everything. Goku still did everything he could to make sure he didn't fucking have to. Damn, that's pretty big and noble for him. It really is. It really, really is. And I know he also says Goku does tell his son Gohan he fought Cell first, so then Gohan can learn, can study the behaviors and patterns. That's definitely part of it. Yes. And then they nowhere did say, Goku never did say that he was trying. Actually, no, he does. He kind of touches on it. He says he was giving Cell everything that he had, right? I'm pretty sure Goku was secretly hoping that he could still defeat Cell. I am very confident about that. You can tell through his fucking actions. you have to remember, guys, what I said, actions are louder than words here, folks. Like, come on, like, you know what I mean? I mean, for crying out loud, like, you can just tell, like, he's desperately trying to defeat him. So then he gives Cell the Senzu Bean. Okay, he gives up the fight with Cell, and then he gives this universal level threat a handicap, right? He helps him fully heal, and a lot of fans say, okay, and this is true, you know, this is never really reiterated in, like, the video games or anything like that. Like, it's just in the manga and anime, that's it. But it's still everyone's favorite bad father Goku moment they love to fucking point fingers to and talk about. Ah, man, I hate and love this. I never, ever saw this as a bad move from Goku. I understood it from the beginning, because I knew Gohan was going to be strong enough to defeat Cell. I knew he was going to be. I was basically thinking and feeling what Goku was thinking and feeling at that moment. Overconfident. Now, does that make Goku right for doing what he did? You could argue that it doesn't, but it ultimately does pay the fuck off. I think he did it for a number of reasons. One, Gohan had to know and understand that things are not going to be easy for him. It sucks, but it is the reality of the situation. Goku gave Cell the Senzu Bean because this is his first time fighting a big baddie one-on-one, and if his first experience fighting a big baddie is that they're all going to be beat up and bruised, it's not going to have like a subconscious mental effect to him later on when he has to fight something more serious like Super Buu, for example, right, or Majin Buu, someone who's fully powered up, right? So it doesn't teach Gohan anything, but you can tell Goku was trying. Maybe it doesn't, but you can tell Goku was trying to teach his son in this moment that there's going to be foes out there. No one's going to fight your fights for you. Like, this guy is going to come in full power, because that's how it's going to be when you fight someone like Frieza, right, in the future. Which, do you get what I'm saying? Like, he did it because Gohan had to understand that Cell isn't gonna, like, someone as evil as Frieza's Cell isn't gonna be all beat up and bruised when he first fights them. When they come to Earth, when they come to hurt his friends and family, like, it was just true. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, that he possibly did. Reason number two is because Gohan is more than capable of defeating Cell, and Goku probably just felt overconfident in his boy. It was like basically a dad trying to support their son in sports, have them going up the best team everybody knows, and being like, he will kick your ass, like, he will win. It's kind of like that. Sure, you know, or like the dad gives the team like some kind of like, I don't know, maybe he gives them like new shoes or something, or some kind of like huge benefit, but it doesn't matter because his son's still gonna fucking kick their ass. It's kind of like that, you know what I mean? So that's reason number two. Reason number three, Goku verbalizes it. He says, you know, he wants the fight to be fair. Which is funny, but this is Goku we're talking about. He respects martial arts kind of more than anything. Maybe even more than his own family, I know, which is sad, but that's what he's always known. Okay? He has always known martial arts, and it's his thing. If you love this character, you'll understand that's vital and important. I'm not saying he did it to be an ass to his son. I'm just saying he did it because he respects the fight. And I think that's questionable, sure, but I will allow it. Is it a terrible moment on his end? Sure. Should Goku not have done that? Yeah, okay, I'll give you that much. Does his out flat right make him a bad guy though, and a bad father, bad this, bad that? No. It was one mistake. Even Goku kind of regrets it later on. He doesn't say it, but you can tell he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done this. And Piccolo's yelling at him, telling him, your son doesn't want to fight, Goku. And Goku's like, oh no. And he thinks he may have made a mistake, but then of course it pays off. And the characters praise Goku for it when it does. Piccolo's the first one to say that he gets it. The one that was dogging on Goku, the one that was yelling at the man, the one that was saying, your son doesn't like to fight, he could be dead, blah, blah, blah. Once he sees Gohan transform into Super Saiyan 2, and they all see it, they all witness it happen, after 16 gets his famous speech and he dies, enter 16, Piccolo is the first one to say something to Goku about it. He's the first one to say, oh shit, I get it, I see now, alright, yeah. So it's like, if Piccolo can fucking realize it, the man that you guys want to defend so hardly, the one that you want to say is the best father, blah, 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 all this shit about the guy. If Piccolo can realize that Goku's actions have a huge payoff for the characters, I think you fucking can do the same fucking thing. Alright? So there you go. And Piccolo has never called Goku bad dad, by the way. So, I'm just saying, he's never tread on those toes. I don't know if he ever would, but do I think it'd be in character? Do I think Piccolo would actually say that? I don't know. Maybe. But again, you have to remember, a lot happens in Dragon Ball. Okay, it's hard to remember everything. I'm kind of going beat for beat here from what I can remember about the main story, which so far I haven't rewatched the show or reread the manga in like a good year's time, and I think I'm doing pretty good for myself for like remembering everything. So, like, yeah, even the characters don't remember everything they've done, everything that happened, everything that was said, but they do remember vital key moments, and I think, yeah, Goku's doing his best to be his son's hero. He's doing everything he can to make sure he doesn't have to get killed. There's worse dads out there than Goku is. Even Vegeta's a worse father. Like, I'm just saying, like, okay. Anyways, then what happens after all that? Gohan gets overconfident. Cell almost blows up the Earth. He, spits out 18, blows himself up, and then we get Goku's other prominent best father ever moment. Best hero ever moment. He takes his own life for his family and for his friends. I'm just gonna fucking shut the scene. Maybe I don't even have to talk about it. Like, you could just see it for yourself. But he teleports in front of his son, and he tells him he's sorry about the whole thing. That he wishes could have been different. Basically. And in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, he says to Gohan that year in the time chamber was the best year in his entire life, and it was just him spending time with his boy. That brings a tear to my eye. That's very sweet. And in the English dub, he says, "Take care of your mom for me, and tell her that I'm sorry." And in the manga, I don't remember what he says, but probably something along those lines. And he says goodbye to Gohan, and then he dies. He teleports to King Kai's planet. Cell blows up. Goku's gone for good. It's very fucking sad. And which character does it hit the hardest? Gohan. Gohan expresses the most emotion. He's the one that gets the most hurt by this. Now, who would be the one to pick up if Goku was a bad dad or not? He may not verbalize it, he may not say it, but who is the one who would actually be able to like confirm that? It'd be Gohan himself. Gohan has always loved, respected, and cared for his father. He tries to save him against Frieza in the anime after he goes Super Saiyan, after he thought he was dead. He defends his honor against Mr. Shu, the dude with the whip, the tutor character. Yeah. Before Goku comes back to Earth during the Android saga, and before it, Gohan loves his dad. Isn't that all the guys need to know? Like, I know some of you out there are going to be really deep and weird about it and saying things like, it's not enough just because the child loves their parent doesn't mean the parent's a good parent, blah, 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 blah. I get it, okay? I understand your viewpoint. I fucking understand. But I think Gohan would at least subconsciously know to some degree if his dad was good to him or not. And he is good to him. Gohan knows it. It's a no-brainer. He treats him like any other parent should treat him. Does it suck that he put his son through a terrible situation like with Cell? Yes. But again, I'm going to ask you, what the hell would you have done? You probably wouldn't have done anything different. There's no way you would have. There's no way you could have. If your child had all this fucking power, they could be stronger than you? That's crazy. That's unheard of. This is a very unique situation. Like, no one else has ever really been through like this on a manga and anime history that I can think of. Not in human history, really. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, if your child's more talented than you are, you're going to make sure that they can show it. Whether you're not going to stop and realize that they hate it or not, you're going to, well, maybe you might, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Goku ultimately did the right thing. There's nothing else really needs to be said about it. It sucks, but he did do the right thing. He did. Now, I kind of want to stop the video here because it is going on for 3 hours. But I really want to talk about the Goten stuff because Goku loves Goten very much. That was very sweet. And then during Dragon Ball Super, you know, when Mr. Satan gives Goku millions of zennies, the first thing he thinks of is Gohan being able to accomplish his dreams. That's very sweet. It is. And he gives his son a hug during the Buu Saga, or Gohan hugs him when he tells him he may never see him again. I just played Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Well, you probably saw the footage, but, you know, he tells his son that he's sorry he didn't get to see him grow up. That's heartbreaking stuff right there. That's sad. And when he comes back for a day on Earth, he's happy to see how big Gohan's gotten. You know, it's very sweet. It is. I don't know, man. Like, I don't need to go on about this anymore. You know, but fuck it, I will. I just need to take a break. Okay, I apologize for the length of this video. I'm hoping it'll be wrapped up soon. So let's talk about the 7-year time skip for a bit. Well, Goku was dead. He contacts his family when there's the World Martial Arts Tournament being talked about. Talk about convenient timing, right? With Bulma's plays with Vegeta, Gohan, Kid Trunks, and Bulma. You know, I mean, they're talking about entering the World Tournament, and Goku's like, hey, I'm gonna join too. It's been a while. It's interesting to me how all that has happened. So, so that is kind of bad timing on Goku's end. I'm not going to fully deny that. There's no reason why he probably shouldn't have talked to his family before all that. Sure, I can give you that, but you also have to understand, I don't know what gave Goku, I don't know, maybe it's just something that just can't be explained. Like, I don't know, maybe Goku felt like checking on his family, and then at that point in time when he felt that way, for some reason, you know, the tournament happens. So that kind of stuff happens in real life too. Like, it's like, oh man, it's been a while since I talked to this person. It's been a while since I've seen so-and-so, talk to so-and-so. Let me check up on them. And then something like convenient in your interest gets mentioned or takes place or happens at the same time. That's just how life is sometimes. So maybe there's no intent behind that. Maybe Goku just felt like it's been a long time. Maybe I should talk to them. Because, you know, maybe, and the reason why, okay, now part of why I think Goku has been talking to his family too often, or if at all, for all we know, he might have at least once or twice, and then it's been like 5 years or something. We don't know. They don't really touch on it, but I think it's possible Goku may have literally waited 7 years. And a part of why that might be true, we had to entertain that idea for just a moment, because that is what we supposedly know. That is written in canon. A reason why Goku may have not intervened with his family's life during the 7 years of his death is because of the respect of just being dead, right? He's in a whole new plane now, a whole new dimension, a whole new world. He's not alive anymore. It's not just that he's not in a different dimension. He's literally dead. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense for someone who's passed away to not be involved with their life anymore because, well, they're gone. So to me, it kind of makes sense. I can logically believe that's why he didn't talk to anybody during his time of passing. It's fucking sad, man. You know, he's gone. And when he did die at the end of the Cell Saga, that was a beautifully well done scene too. It was really sad, like, you know. And the part where he puts his hand on Gohan's shoulder, that was sweet too. And in the anime version, and he boosts Gohan's confidence to defeat Cell. Like, come on, man, that's such an iconic scene. The father-son Kamehameha. Jeez Louise, man. I'm just saying, it's just hard accepting people calling Goku bad father or calling him the worst father anime history, cartoon history. I'm like, these people just don't get Dragon Ball. That has to be it. Like, maybe they just haven't watched the show. They're just basing it off of other things they've heard online. Maybe they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm sure of it, but I also don't know. I don't know you personally, so you don't know me either. That's why I'm making this giant-ass video, so you understand that that's blasphemy and unfair to believe such thing. It doesn't make any sense. And it's, how about this? It's absolutely illogical. It is. Yeah, how about that? It is. So, and I just made a 2-hour, 50-minute video showing and telling you that it is. So, anyways, okay. So now Goku's back for a day to enter the tournament, see his friends and family. That all goes well at first. He hugs Goten. Goten hugs him in the anime, but in the manga version, it's a little different. Goten's kind of shy at first because he's not sure how to feel about his dad, which is totally fair. But they do bond a little bit over time. But I love the anime version because it gives that scene time to breathe. Goten's kind of registering who he is. Then he runs up to him and like hug him, and it's sweet. It's a great moment. It is. Another Dragon Ball fans talked about it before. It is a good little scene. I absolutely love it. And not only that, oh god, what was I gonna say? I think my favorite version of this scene is definitely the North American dub version, the English Funimation version, with the U.S. Toonami North American soundtrack, aka the Bruce Faulconer music. I don't like calling it the Bruce Faulconer music because Bruce Faulconer is not the only person that did that music. He gets all the credit, and it's not fair. I think the band's name is actually called Cake Factory, so I think it's better to call it the Cake Factory music. But you know, the U.S. soundtrack basically for Dragon Ball Z, the anime, the cartoon. But yeah, that moment's really beautiful. It is. Food for thought there, by the way. It's iconically called the Bruce Faulconer music, but it's fucking annoying that's called that. It is so annoying. I'm so tired of it being called that. Just like a bunch of things going on with this franchise, such fandom. There's so much of Dragon Ball Z that I hate, that like the fandom just like doesn't think twice about it, or accept, oh, Goku's bad father, oh, Dragon Ball Z is a widescreen, it's fine, oh, it's called Bruce Faulconer music. No, and no. Like, knowledge is power here, people. Like, use your noodle, okay? Anyways. So, moving forward with the Buu Saga, we had the tournament with Popovich. I hate that fight with Videl, but that happens. Goku Vegeta, that big moment happens. Now, Goku gives Gohan again confidence. He talks to him a bit before he goes off and fights Buu. And he has faith in his boy at first, but then he doesn't realize how weak he's gotten, right? And then, of course, Goku is not happy, believing that Gohan would be dead. You know, all that jazz. And then there's the famous scene of him hugging his son goodbye when the Elder Kai gets released and gives Gohan his abilities. And of course, he also trains Goten and Trunks. That's right, he does. And he's a little hard on them, but given the circumstance of what's happening, it's understandable. Earth is once again in jeopardy. Goku's stressed out, right? To be fair, though, I'm going to say this. Goku didn't really have time to develop as a good father, as a more acceptable father to your standards in Z. Goku couldn't really focus on being a parent when he had to focus on teaching his children to become the Earth's greatest defenders, because he could die. And so could they, to be fair, yes. But, you know, Gohan had more power than he did. Like, that was a fair situation with Cell. But with Goten and Trunks, well, Goten's already a Super Saiyan, so for all we know, he could be way more stronger than Gohan. Goku's just doing the best he can. He doesn't fully know what the fuck is going on either. You know, like, he knows there's a huge threat and has to be taken care of. That's all he knows. I'm just saying, I said this earlier, the man's not perfect, but he's also not bad. He's doing the best he can, and I think that's worth mentioning and worth crediting and worth noting and worth showing. I do think it is. Absolutely, yes. It kind of sucks that he has to be so hard on his kids about the situation. It does suck, but it's completely understandable, because guess what? Every other character is the same way, right? Not just Goku. They're backing him up, like Piccolo and Vegeta. They both agree. So does Krillin to a certain extent. So does even Gohan might agree. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying. Like, it makes sense. It does. And of course, it's not going to be that way forever. And they even touch on that. So, anyways, where is it going with this? So then Goku does come back from the dead with the Elder Kai's help. I'm kind of jumping over with the Buu Saga, but the Buu Saga is messy. But I think you guys get the picture at this point. And he immediately saves Gohan's life in that situation. Again, coming in to save his son, right? Like he has at various points before. So it's Piccolo. I'm not going to give Piccolo any discredit here. But Goku has saved Gohan's life a lot in Z. And also, yeah, okay. That I'll save those thoughts for the Piccolo video. But, he comes in to save Gohan up against Buu. And then he throws in the earring, misses the earring, then we get Buuhan, right? And then Goku is like, oh shit, then we get Vegito. And of course, they try to save everybody, but then we get Kid Buu, he blows up the Earth. Goku didn't have time to stop and think to save everyone because the Earth was literally being blown up. So instead, he saves Mr. Satan, Dende, and Supreme Kai. Now, I said this before, I don't remember in another video, but I don't know if I posted it yet. I feel like the ending of Z here, the final fight with Kid Buu, Gohan should have been there, yes. But I don't know if I'm not saying Gohan should have been the one to win that fight against Kid Buu, but you know how we have that famous, iconic, beautiful Vegeta recollection moment when he's sitting watching Goku fight and he's like thinking back about how he met him and how he knows him, and he accepts that he's number one under the sun. He accepts that he is the best fighter. You know, that great Vegeta acceptance moment. I think we should have something like that with Gohan too, reminiscing like how he became who he is because of his father, and how, you know, in everything they shouldn't bond together. The reason why I think that's vital important is because Gohan gets completely sidelined as like a main character here, because he is the main character of Z alongside Goku. At least in the anime, they both are. Even in the manga, you can kind of tell that they both are. It's still Goku's story in the manga version, I guess, but in the anime, Toei Animation really tried to like portray Gohan as the secret main character, and they did a really good job with that alongside Goku. That's what I think Gohan should have been here, at least for the anime version. I think Gohan should have been involved. That would have been crazy for them to change it that much with what Toriyama was making at the time, but they could have absolutely done that. Toei Animation can be like, you know what, we're gonna have Gohan involved with this final fight because it makes sense to us. But that's not what they did. So I love the final fight with Kid Buu. It's great. But that's kind of everything I had to say. And then, of course, in Dragon Ball Super, I already mentioned it. When they get the Zeni, the first thing Goku thinks of is how Gohan can finally achieve his dreams of being a scholar the way he wanted to. And Goku can accept Gohan not wanting to fight. He's okay with it. He's okay with Gohan living his life. He doesn't pressure him in Super. He's just disappointed that Gohan's not really keeping up anymore. But he also is supportive of what he wants to do with his life. And that, to me, makes a good dad, okay? Okay. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, I think can finally conclude my Goku is a good dad video. Thank fucking God. Or defending Goku video. And in Dragon Ball GT, best version of his character, I love that little scene when he saves those animals. Like, it's so sweet. Like, he's still a good guy in GT. Like, it's just more of him, But, yeah, and in Super, okay, I know it's kind of too late to say this, because but if you stick around this long, then thank you. I'm not going to fully bash on Super Goku. I did it earlier in this video. I said his character got ruined, and I still kind of feel that way, but I also feel like he's still kind of himself in Super. There are the fans that, factually believe this, because they are right, that Goku's character, he just has to relearn everything in Super because he's in a whole new playing field with God power, and that's a very fair, valid point. It is a very, very, very fair, valid argument. I still feel like, though, I'm not talking about necessarily Goku as a martial artist. We're talking about his common sense. Like, I feel like it just got diminished in Super compared to Z. I think he definitely had more common sense in Z, but his common sense is still kind of apparent in Super, so that's not fully true. But he just comes off as a bit more with it, a bit more intelligent, a bit less of a doof, I think, a doof in Z. Either in the manga or whatever, or in the dub or the sub, whatever. He's just less stupid. But, well, in the manga, he's definitely more hickish, but I don't know. Because that is what he's supposed to be. It's hard to say. Anyways, guys, this has been Danny just signing out. Thank you for listening and watching this video. At least I think we can agree that Toei Animation Goku, at the end of all this, from the original 80s, 90s run of Dragon Ball Z to GT, is a good dad, right? I hope so, including the movies. I don't know, but I think he is. Manga Goku, I don't know. I'm still not gonna say that he's a bad dad. There's a Toriyama version of the character, but he's more good. He's got more good dad material, in my opinion, definitely in the actual animated stuff. I think he does. For sure, yes. And he's definitely portrayed more as a hero too in the movies and in GT and everything. And Toriyama did express how he wasn't fully happy with how Goku's character was portrayed. So there's that for you too. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening. I was going to say I'm sorry about how long it is, but I shouldn't have to apologize. Because I still strongly, fully, wholeheartedly believe this video was needed. These discussions, these viewpoints, everything I'm saying here is needed. It is. Goku deserves to be defended. He's my hero. Okay, I loved him for years now, since I was 14 years old. He changed me who I was. He helped me grow into who I am. And guess what else? He did the same thing for pretty much every single character in Dragon Ball. For Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan, Krillin, Goten to a certain extent, Trunks, or Future Trunks at least, Bulma, maybe, I don't know, Bulma and Chi-Chi, not so much. But everybody else, yes, all the characters mentioned, yes, Master Roshi even to a certain extent, yeah. His impact matters. His character matters. Yamcha to a certain extent. I love Goku. You should love Goku too. If you don't, then you're weird. Whatever. Get out of here. Nothing to do with you. But I'm hoping this video at least somewhat convinced you to understand why this character is loved the way he is by people like me and why he should be. Remember, I said earlier, he is the king of fucking anime. The most iconic fictional character in Japan. How in the world? How in the name of Jesus Christ, God Almighty himself, did this character get the slander he did here in the States? I don't understand it. I don't. I see so much bashing online. I met people in person. I've watched videos online. I've talked to people online about this. People who genuinely believe that Goku's a bad dude. It's fucking insane to me. It's like jaw-droppingly shocking. It is. And half the time it feels like these people are just going off of what Team 4-Star has portrayed for the character, which means they don't really know Goku. That's not Goku. That's a parody of the character. That's not the same guy, you know? Yes, I think Team 4-Star does a good job of being a giant love letter to Dragon Ball Z. I do agree with that, but they also don't portray Goku the best, always, in my opinion. I was never a big fan of the way they portrayed him in TFS. I wasn't. But okay. I do love his I do love that he's more of like a glutton in like a comedic way. That works for me. I don't mind that. Like with Frieza telling him he's gonna give him 2 stuffed crust pizzas. That was fucking funny. Like right like that I don't mind. And I don't mind. I don't know. He's all right in T4. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying, you know, if it's not from the original source material, please take what other people have said with a grain of salt. And for the most part in this video, I have at least for half of the part of this video, I have shown and told you guys what's canon, what's factual, what's written, what's there for this character. And I think that should be more than enough for you to get it, for you to understand that Goku is loved, that he's important, that he is a good guy, that he's Earth's greatest defender, that he's like the number 1 under the sun Z warrior Saiyan fighter hero guy from Earth. You know what I mean? He deserves respect. He deserves dignity. He deserves honor. He deserves kindness. He deserves, you know, to be celebrated. He does. He does. And I think that's all I really had to say about that. So if you've watched this video to the end, thank you so much. It was needed. I'm sorry, but it was. Yes, I could split this up into maybe a couple parts, but I think this is more worth it. I do. So thank you for listening to my 3-hour tangent, factual tangent, about why Goku is not maybe quite who you think he is, and why he deserves all the defense he can. If you're someone like me who actually gets it, well, thank you for listening anyways. I'm hoping I made your day by making this video, and maybe you might want to watch Dragon Ball Z again. I don't know. I highly recommend the See the Might version if you want to watch it again. Definitely please check out the manga if you haven't read it before. Either watch the See the Might release of Dragon Ball everything, because they're the best source to go to for Dragon Ball media, video media, like Z and the original and everything. Or read the manga. Actually, they're the best source for everything. The pictures everything I've used here was from them. Everything you're seeing from the anime and the manga is from them. It's their footage. So if you want to watch more of that, please check out See the Might. They are super great. I fucking love them. They're the best. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching, listening. This is Daniel Interest signing out. Till next time, peace out. I don't think I have to say anything else. I don't know. Wait a minute, actually, there's the whole Dragon Ball Super thing as well, how everyone blames Goku for annihilating the universe. That was Zeno's fault. Zeno was the one that said he wants to annihilate the universe, not Goku. He just wanted to fight strong guys. Goku loves fighting for fun, not for violence. That's something that I think you can understand. That's like saying, oh, I love to play basketball for violence. No, you love to play it for fun, or football. It's the same thing. The Goku, it's a sport. It's deeper than that, yes, but that's something that you have to recognize and realize too. Okay, well, I think I've said more than enough in this video. I will talk about Goku for more sure in the future, but I'm ready to wrap things up. So, yeah, that situation wasn't really his fault either. It wasn't. You might think it is, but that's somebody who just isn't paying attention to the story. Watch Super again. You'll recognize and understand if you pay close attention enough, it wasn't Goku's fault to even begin with. Alright, guys, have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you did. It's 3 hours long, so I don't blame you if you didn't pay attention to everything I said. I'm sure I can smell it. I can smell the stinky, hateful comments already. I just know there's people who's going to argue with me. Sorry, that was just me being funny clicking on my keyboard. But yeah, no. There's going to be people like, oh, Jesus, oh my gosh, I'm going to type away now and say how fucking wrong you are. And I know it's going to happen. And I'm just going to timestamp you and be like, point, this point, this point, this point, this point, this point, this point, to whatever shit you have to say about this. Because I just made a 3-hour video explaining how you're wrong, buddy. So there you go on that one. To all the Goku haters out there who want to argue with me about how wrong I am, I just made a 3-hour video about how wrong you are. This is all factual. None of this was opinion. I literally showed you everything from Dragon Ball. It makes sense. Fucking A. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about it. Goku's a good dude. Like, I hope I got it through your head. Thank you all for listening and watching. There's always going to be people with shitty Dragon Ball opinions, but hey, you know what? There's there are fools out there. There's people out there who just will never accept education. That's sad, but it's true. But again, remember, at the very beginning of this video, knowledge is power. So, till next time, everybody, peace out. I think next time I'm going to make a video about Piccolo, because I love him. Or Vegeta. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I'm turning into a bit of a Dragon Ball YouTuber, huh? Which is fine, because I love Dragon Ball. And I said before I wanted to make more videos about it, so this is me doing that. So, expect more to happen eventually. Bye-bye.